in the heart of the fight. Shifting gears till the edge feels right. Start 'em up, hear the engines cry. Let the thunder roll, leave no doubt. All or nothing when the checkers come out. Doors beating doors in an all-out fight. This is a Moonshiners Wednesday night. Wednesday night! Legends born in the heat of the fight. Trading pain under stadium lights. Racing roots run deep here. We're racing on a Moonshiners Wednesday night. Every track has a story to tell. Every wall has been one driver's hell. Back in the saddle we go. Ring the bell like a moonshiner. We're riding on rails. Checkers all records. Send it in, set sail. Legends born in the heat of the fight. Trading pain under stadium lights. Racing roots run deep here. We're racing on a Moonshiners Wednesday night. This is 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 a Moonshiners Wednesday night.
Just a short drive from Broadway and Music Row, the stars of a Moonshiners Wednesday night. The Moonshiners Racing League and its GMD Janitorial Cup Series arrive in Music City, the country music capital of the world, for tonight's presentation of the ICON Apparel 266 at Nashville Superspeedway, brought to you tonight on Precision Entertainment. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome inside the virtual Nashville Superspeedway. My name is Dawson Wise. I'll be taking you through all of the action tonight. My co-host in the broadcast booth is Jeremy Miller. Our pit reporter at track level is Cody Banta. We'll hear from him in just a moment. And on the production controls tonight, as always, is Ryan Power. Our cameras this evening provided by Whiplash SimCams. We've arrived past the midway point of the season. The series has left NASCAR's backyard and now arrives in Music City for a stop in Nashville. A way different race expected tonight, Jeremy, than what we saw last week in Charlotte. Tire management expected to be the name of the game tonight on a tough, harsh concrete surface.
Yeah, one of only 3 pure concrete surfaces across the entire schedule, so something these drivers aren't as familiar with. And one of those tracks, actually, we don't even touch this year because the All-Star race went to Charlotte. So outside of Bristol, this will be our only points-paying race on a purely concrete surface. So it's a new thing for the new approach. This track races a lot like a mile and a half, but really will shred those tires with the concrete through the corners.
Tire management will be paramount. We'll hear more about that again from Cody Banta throughout the night. Looking at the schedule again, we're past the midway point of the regular season now. The series has left its 2-week break in Charlotte for the All-Star race and the points race tonight into Nashville before trips to Michigan, Pocono, and eventually that San Diego date. We still have not heard yet what that date is going to be. Sonoma coming up, Chicagoland coming up, a bunch of wild tracks on the schedule going forward. Every discipline of racing covered before we head back to the World Center of Racing on September 2nd to set the Impact Sim Designs Chase. Speaking of the Impact Sim Designs Chase, here's how the point standings shape up coming into Nashville. And looking at him, Jeremy, obviously Brandon Fetterplace continues to loom, back-to-back wins for him in the All-Star race and the points race at Charlotte. But down around that cut line, it is as crazy as ever as Shaden Christensen come on late. Kenny Real, Vincent Sanchez, Barry Sanders try to hang on to those last 4-point spots.
Yeah, you you can really see with just looking at these numbers where the top 5 have kind of separated themselves from the rest of this series. But right around that cut line, as you mentioned, you can throw a blanket over nearly 10 race cars. And, just behind Medina, which doesn't show on the graphic, there's some guys that are pretty close there too. So still a lot of fighting left to get towards that race in Daytona to make the chase.
Nashville Superspeedway, the host venue tonight, 1.33 miles in length, 14 degrees of banking in the corners, 9 degrees on the front stretch, which has that bit of a kink right there at the start-finish line, a D-shaped oval. The back stretch, 6 degrees, a 25-year-old facility that has only been in the Cup Series for about 5 years on the NASCAR side. Fun fact, construction cost $125 million. This is one of the premier intermediate tracks on the circuit these days in the NASCAR scene. Well, it's time to head down track side and meet the starters for tonight's ICON Apparel 266 here at Nashville, and it all begins with the Victory Designs Pole Award. Tonight, that pole award won by Brandon Bowie in the black, white, and green 51. He'll start on the pole with a time of 29.541 seconds. Alongside him, Matt Cox continues to rock number 00 from position number 2. Row 2, a pair of big eSports Camrys. Alex Coffey, the defending champ, on the inside. Alex Murray, the boss man, on the outside. Row 3, Corey Moore. He'll be the 26 on your timing and scoring with the 19 on that Diggy Sports entry. And Brandon Fetterplace, back-to-back wins for him. He'll go from 6 tonight at Nashville, looking to make it 3 straight. Row 4, it's Kyle Holden in the 97. New colors for him tonight from 7th. It's your boy Nico Garcia. He'll go from 8th. And rounding of the top 10, it's the Walmart Camry of Chris Cornett. And back to the white, yellow, and black Bumblebee look for Paul Gallimore tonight. He rolls from 10th.
Jeff Chandler is going to roll off 11th. Not a name we've said too much around here, but Timmy Harper on his outside in 12th position, not the best Q effort for his standards. Rolling off 13th tonight's going to be William Owens in that 30, and Mark Sanchez on his outside in the 29 will roll off 14th. 15th place tonight's going to be occupied by the 5 of Aaron Matthews, and Johnny Shade's going to roll off in 16th in the 45. 17th is going to be Kenny Reel in the 99, and Ryan Canelato is going to roll off 18th, and rounding out our top 20 this evening going to be Nigel Christensen and Trevor Azarnoff.
Christensen with some work to do, same for Oswornoff. Back on row 11, Greg Carr, the 25 will start from 21st. Blake Hochschild alongside him, the neon yellow 38. Row 12, our driver in focus tonight is Nick King. We'll talk about him a little bit later on in the show. He'll roll from 23rd tonight. It's Jose Medina to his outside, a Jeff Gordon look aboard that 24 tonight from position 24. Row 13, it's Wayne Bowen in the 78. Alongside him, the boss man Barry Sanders will carry ICON Apparel tonight from 26th. Row 14, it's Blaine Wilson for Dig Esports alongside a familiar blue, black, and white number 1 for Matt Mackin. Last car that took a qualifying time, Caden Norfray in the 56 on the car, the 19 on your timing and scoring. Several other cars in the field tonight that did not take a lap. Chris Davis, Chris Vincent, Sean Rogers, and Matt Mettler. They will start 30th, 31st, 32nd, and 33rd. Weather conditions, 86 degrees outside, 89 after the feels-like temperature. A lot of humidity. It'll be a hot track. And as such, Jeremy, the tire is going to play a major part in tonight's race. Looking at the race analysis as we get ready to go, we'll get the one-to-go signal right here. 200 laps in length. Both are the opening stages, 45 laps apiece. Until that long third stage, 110 laps, we know that the fuel distance tonight will be around 65 laps in the tank, so one pit stop will likely be required on that third stage. Let's head downstairs quickly and introduce our pit reporter for the night, Cody Panta. Cody, what are you hearing from the teams here right before green flag?
Just a sort of chatter with the teams. I was able to speak to the top 3 pole sitters, and they said that they were feeling really confident going in and said that they had a really fast car. Some of the other motorsports included feeling a little bit slick and a little bit loose, so there's a little bit of a feeling between each of the drivers here. Back to you guys.
And we'll hear from Cody throughout the night from track levels. He walks up and down pit road. Before we get going, the Vanity onboard cameras tonight, a ton of them to go around. We'll check in on those drivers throughout the evening as well as we keep tabs on their races throughout the night. We want to thank you for your attendance tonight. Hope you're ready to go for what should be a fun one tonight in Music City. We're past the midway point of the regular season. The playoff push to the Impact Sim Designs chase is on. We thank you so much for joining us and hope you're ready for the ride tonight in Nashville. For all of our crew, including my co-host Jeremy Miller, thank you so much for being here. And here we go into the Valley of the Stickers restart zone for the first time. The opening start from Nashville. Bowie, Cox bring the field down to the restart zone. They wait on the starter to get us underway. Green flag is in the air. We're racing from Nashville.
Pretty good start on the outside there, but Bowie's going to clear him anyways, down through 1 and 2 at 51 out to the lead where he's been so much of the season early here. Coffee slides into behind Cox.
The 3 wide further back around the Nigel Christensen machine as he was trying to come forward early, nothing doing, and look at him spread out into turn 3. This is not something we've seen a ton of so far this week on the official side of things. If you get high enough on this racetrack, it tends to be a marble situation where that car does not want to turn. You get into the bad stuff towards that 4th lane of the racetrack. Everybody now down to the first 3, but a caution flag is on the speedway early in this one, and it's a crash in the middle of turns 1 and 2. Johnny Shade is involved, and Blake Hochschild comes into it as well. Looks like Trevor Osbornoff has had a problem also in the red line, number 89 machine. And that puts us under the caution for the first time tonight. To the Top It Off Hot Sauce Company replay. It's towards that midpoint of the field. I had mentioned the 3 wide back around Christensen. And I'll tell you what, Jeremy, it looks like things just got off to a bad start for Shade and Catalano, who gets in the back of him there. And it's on for drivers coming in from behind.
Yeah, it looked like Shade was just kind of lifting for the guy in front of him, not wanting to push too hard, and Catalano wasn't expecting him to check up so much in the straightaway and got into him there. We'll take another look at it here on the front of Hochschild. You see out in front of him right there, just a little bit of a stack up right there. Catalano gets in that left rear and sends Shade down the racetrack and around.
Nowhere to go for Blake Hochschild or Wayne Bowen, who also got a piece of that in the black and red 78. Trevor Osbornoff got a piece of this up in front, by the way. He's actually in front of the opening of this crash. You're on board with him now. You're going to see this thing kick up, and you'll see him spin ahead of the initial crash. Look to the outside there with Shade going around. And as Osbornoff jumps on the brakes, it's actually Nigel Christensen that gets turned. As Osbornoff tries to jump into the brakes, jump on the binders, he spins the car, but that's big damage potentially to Nigel Christensen, who pancakes the outside wall in turn 1. You're on board with him now. Again, this will kick up just to his outside, and in turn, he's going to try to get on the brakes and actually got some help from behind from Aaron Matthews, and that is a pretty significant hit for car number 20. So some damage to some contenders in the mid-teens. Really needed good runs tonight. It starts with Christensen. Talked about him below the cut line. Same with Johnny Shade. Not good starts for either of those two early in this one either.
That's the kind of hit right there for Christensen that can end your night, depending on how the right front caught the wall. That can break the suspension. I would be willing to bet that it may have, looking at that. So his night might be over watching that right there, which would be unfortunate for him. Matthews just kind of sent it in there and wrecked him. That might have even occurred at the wreck on the front just didn't happen. The 5 just seemed to get in there really, really deep for some reason.
So Nigel Christensen does continue to sit on the pit lane. He has already lost a lap to the leaders, so we'll see if he does end up coming back on. In fact, he's lost a couple already, so could be good thinking there. Jeremy, perhaps the right front suspension already broken for Nigel Christensen. Another look at our onboard cameras tonight. Several drivers, 6 of them carrying onboards for us here this evening at Nashville, including the boss man there in the top right. That's Barry Sanders. We know Nico Garcia carries a camera. Chris Cornett there, bottom center as well, amongst other drivers carrying onboard looks for us here tonight at Nashville. So I want to thank those guys for jumping on camera for us here tonight, documenting their races. Under caution for the first time on lap 4, Brandon Bowie is your race leader over Matt Cox. Top 10 remains unchanged. If you're just joining us, here's how they'll line up. Bowie, Cox, then Coffey, then Murray, then Moore. That's your top 5. Rest of the top 10, Fetter Place, Holden, Garcia, Cornett, Gallimore the same way that they started. There's another one of our onboard cameras, Chris Davis. He's got a little bit of work to do tonight, but already up 8 for the driver of the 87 for Arrow. Chris Davis working into the picture, same as he did at Charlotte in the All-Star race a couple of weeks ago. And there's another good run early for Chris Cornett as well in the Walmart Camry as he carries an onboard camera also. He's getting ready to go back to green. There's another one, Nico Garcia, your boy Nico with the onboard camera there. Sporting the HendrickCars.com hat as well in his onboard camera. A guy who's won here before, Kyle Larson, here at the Nashville Superspeedway. Garcia, hoping to be one of those drivers as well. And there's Kyle Holden, look on board with the 97 as well. Nice touch, by the way, with the Kyle Busch sign there in the background. Bossman Barry Sanders needs a good run tonight. 18th so far for him, +8 for that driver of the 88 machine. Well, lap 5 on the board, Jeremy. Already some chaos, surely more to come, and at a time where drivers around that cut line really don't want to see it happen.
Yeah, when they're wrecking like that this early, you got to assume it's going to continue to develop throughout the night. This is one of the more non-traditional racetracks on the schedule. Whenever you kind of get to one of those places, it allows a little bit of the continuity that we've seen throughout the season unravel. You can get a kind of messy race. So these guys are going to try to right the ship and get going clean green racing here from on out, but we'll see how it goes.
To the Van Lilly Stickers restart zone, Brandon Bowie and Matt Cox will bring the field back to green on lap 6. 195 to go in the race, 40 to go in stage 1. Green flag back in the air. Cox didn't go. Alex Murray on the binders trying to stay off of him. Murray will jump to the bottom for the 3rd spot now as Cox goes the wrong way. Cox, a rare slip-up in the restart zone as he was caught sleeping. Alex Murray trying to take advantage, and heck, he says, give me 2 for 1 as he wants 2nd from Alex Coffey down the backstretch.
Murray able to put Cox back to 4th there, getting around him, and he gets around Coffey for P2. That's going to put Cox back side by side with Coffey for 3rd as the 22 will slide up in front of both of them and clear right now. But Bowie pulls half a second in 1 lap there with the bad restart of the 0-0.
The points leader out to an early lead. About 4 car lengths is the lead into turn 1, but back behind him it is a bit of a hornet's nest. You're on board with Garcia once again as he works on Corey Moore for the 6th spot. Moore working on Fetter Place for position number 5. He'll get that here down the back straightaway and back to turn 3. And again, you'll see guys try the outside lane tonight. Some will have success, some won't. The higher that you get, the riskier it gets for getting into the marbles and getting those right side tires dirty, and the car does not want to turn when that happens. We'll see how drivers are willing to venture. Back on board with Chris Cornett, P10 for him so far, as he runs right behind. The battle in front of him between Gallimore and Holden for the 8th position on the racetrack. Top 7 have singled out. Then it's that battle for 8th. Then it's Cornett. And then some drivers on the move. Owens +2, Kenny Reel +4. Further back, Carr +5, Vinson +14 to the 17th spot for car number 33. He's the biggest mover early.
On board with Cornett right there, you can see 3 wide in front of him, but what I wanted to mention, Holden made that top lane work and set this up tight moment there with Nico Garcia and Chris Cornett. Cornett trying to fill the hole as Garcia was trying to close it, but Holden will jump a few spots there up to 7th. I think that outside line up in that second groove works really well for 3 and 4, especially when you're using it defensively. 1 and 2 is where it's a little bit more of a question, not quite as much grip up there, but historically it has developed here as a defensive line and sometimes can be used for passes like we saw right there. We're on board with Tiffany Harper in behind William Owens in the 30. Has not moved forward from where he qualified at all yet in the 23.
This is something I've noticed over the course of the week. The dirty air on board these race cars when you're trying to go through the corner, with it being such a narrow racetrack in terms of the racing grooves you can take. Making passes is a lot harder. Track position at a premium tonight. So for a guy like Harper, we expected him to qualify inside the top 8 or 6 even. He qualifies 12th. He has not moved from that spot. He, in fact, just gained his first spot of the race into the 11th position on lap 10. As we look a little further back in the field around the Aaron Matthews and Chris Davis machines. Back up towards the front. Holden to the inside of Fetter Place. Rivero cars there. Holden will get the spot, but again, this is where you just heard Jeremy talking about the defensive capabilities of that outside
Garcia
lane.
in the wall hard through 1 and 2. Sorry about that, Dawson. Garcia just took a massive hit to the outside wall through turns 1 and 2. He's lost all his track position all the way back outside of the top 20 now as he enters turn 3, but we do stay green. You see heavy damage on the right front of the 8 machine.
And it just had a moment a couple of laps ago when we were on board a little bit ago with Kyle Holden. You saw Garcia get a little bit loose off turn 4 and lose a couple spots. That was that 3 wide that you heard Jeremy mention. Back at the Top and Off Hot Sauce Company replay, from bad to worse for Garcia. This was battling with Chris Cornett towards the back half of the top 10. And as he came off turn 4, a little bit of contact there between those 2 cars perhaps, but not enough to trigger anything out towards the outside wall. It's down here on this end of the racetrack. He is already falling backwards. It's a little bit loose on entry. And that car stays loose, and William Owens gets collected as well. A pair of cars that could have significant damage here to both of their machines early.
Yeah, unfortunate for Owens right there. Looks like Garcia just got loose on the brakes. Gotta wonder if he has a lot of rear brake dialed into that thing and maybe jabbed the pedal just a little bit too hard. Get a really good look on it here. Oh, you know what? Owens did just get into the right rear right there under braking. Did not catch that the first time around. The 30 did definitely hit that right rear and upset that race car.
A great angle there with the onboard looking forward at that incident. So a little bit of contact. Owens and Garcia both sustained damage. By the way, developing story for one of the top 5. Alex Murray has had a technical issue. He has dropped out of this race for the time being. We'll see if he gets back on track. But as of right now, one of the top 3 in points sits out of the race and is not on the racetrack and continues to lose laps. So we'll keep an eye on that. And a potential early large storyline for one of the fastest cars in both practice and qualifying this week. You're on board with Jeff Chandler as he runs in the 11th spot right behind Kenny Reel, who is +7. And take a second to talk about the Red Line Group as a whole. Of course, they get the win with Cody Nagels back at Talladega in April. But Kenny Reel suddenly is 15th in points. He's held on to a chase spot for a few weeks and now has worked into the top 10 +7 so far for that precision branded entry.
Kenny Rails proved week after week that he has pace. The bigger picture for him right now is just putting the race together, not making mistakes, getting the finishes that he deserves. Seems to hang on around where he's running right now a lot of the night, and then we'll have something go wrong late. If he could stop having those kind of runs and just finish where he's running, he'll fire himself even higher up in the points. On board around with the boss man, Barry Sanders, up to 16th with this move to the inside right now. So he's trying to climb his way back forward from not the best qualifying effort so far. He's always a really sneaky, good long-run race car driver. This is the kind of track that could fall right into his lap with the tire where we're expecting to see tonight.
Absolutely could play into his hand if this race gets into a green flag run. Downstairs to our pit reporter, Cody Banta. What are you hearing about Nico Garcia?
Just a quick update on Garcia. He's reporting a little bit tight on exit, but you can't tell how the car feels. Back to you guys.
So tight on exit, suspension damage is what that tells me. Knocked the right front into the outside wall. That incident with William Owens, similar to the hit that Nigel Christensen took a little while ago, that, by the way, has not allowed Christensen to return to the racetrack. He has retired from this race as of right now. On board with Paul Gallimore in the 7th spot, just behind Brandon Fetterplace. Number of movers now inside the top 10. Kyle Holden has been on a bit of a move here late in this run as he tries to get a couple of more spots. He catches up to the Corey Moore and Matt Cox contingent. Gallimore is +3 on the night. And 9th is Timothy Harper, and he has also started to come on late in this run. You're on board with Chris Davis +16, Vincent +18, Carr +10, Sanders +10. A number of drivers finding a groove here mid stages of this run.
Yeah, I know you weren't here with us a week ago, Dawson, but Vincent doing exactly what he did at Charlotte. He's just driving through the field and making passes. That 33 has had speed that we haven't seen out of him really ever these last few weeks. So definitely turning a corner, massive improvement. On board, of course, with the 87 of Chris Davis. He was in contention to win last week at Charlotte, just couldn't quite get it done, but he's been very strong as well.
I wondered how long it would take Chris Vincent to really catch on to the pace. Of course, running for the BMP contingent tonight, teammates with guys like Matt Cox and Paul Gallimore. So I was curious how long it would take before he really dialed in the speed on that car. And over the past few weeks, you're right, a ton of speed underneath that 33. So he actually is about to challenge for another spot. How about it? Right as we talked about him on Jeff Chandler, this would be for 12th and would put him +19 on the night from his starting spot. So he's underneath the 31 now. He'll have to fight that defensive second line that we talked about earlier in the night. Pass is very tough to come by. It will not happen quite right there. So a number of big movers, middle stages of this run. As we continue on lap 20, Brandon Bowie, by the way, continues to lead by about half a second over Alex Coffey. Down to about 4/10 now. Matt Cox, Corey Moore, Kyle Holden, the rest of the top 5. You're looking at towards the back half of the top 10. In fact, the battle for the last stage point. Real is back in this car. Chandler, Vincent, Davis, Sanchez, all guys that we just talked about. It is heated for a potential extra bonus point.
That payday is quickly approaching, coming up on halfway in the stage in just a handful of, or a couple laps here. So on board with Sanchez in 29, good run from him so far, now in the 15th position. See if he can work his way back forward. You see he's just willingly going up and running really high right there. Not quite going to get the center corner he likes, but he's still going to get a good exit with that top line and be able to maintain some pace down the front straightaway. Barry Sanders still sitting here in 16th, hasn't moved since the last time we checked in with this car. Sanchez again to that high side. He's getting cleaner on that nose, and he's making some good moves up there, but right now just not able to quite get to the right rear of Davis.
Trying to break out of that clean air, or rather that dirty air. That's what you were talking about just a moment ago. A couple of cars moving to the outside lane. Brandon Bowie continues to lead, although his lead has come down just a little bit. He's starting to get reeled in by the Alex Coffey machine. Matt Cox working into the picture. Kyle Holden continues to run down this man, Corey Moore, in the 19. A good run for him so far in this one as well. A guy that we expect to be in the postseason, made a run to the postseason in the round of 8 last year in 2025, and has really come on since that podium finish in Talladega. I think is when we saw Corey Moore really get back into form, and what we saw at the end of 2025. You're on board with Holden chasing him from the 5th position, top 5, all the way back to Holden, broken away by about 0.6 of a second over Fetterplace and the remainder of the field. Did want to note, Alex Murray is back on track, but he is 10+ laps down to the race leaders as of right now. So not the start that Alex Murray wanted, being top 3 in points, especially as he watches the other 3, 4, 5 cars around him in points all run inside the top 8.
Yeah, not the ideal night for him. Obviously, this is not a league that has a rule in place that will grant him lap background connectivity. Always an interesting rule. It's something that not too common, but there's a lot of places where they will give you laps back up to like 1 lap down or 2 lap downs or connectivity issues. It's an interesting way to kind of try to take out some of what isn't part of real racing, sim racing, but not going to be something for tonight. So Murray's night is effectively over unless we see something very, very unexpected take place tonight.
The way this race is shaping up early, as of the lap 25 mark, not in the favor of Alex Murray to get all those laps back. Only 1 caution for incident to this point. Still 20 to go in stage 1. Again, 45 and 90 the completion laps of our stages here in this one. Don't expect green flag pit stops in the first 2, but in that third one, the fuel number right around 65 laps or so on the tanks of these race cars tonight. We'll see what that comes down to in stage 3. We're watching the battle for 8th for a moment, as Timothy Harper has caught and now passed Cornette for a moment. They're side by side for 8th. You're on board with Garcia, as he has gotten the wall again. Bad night gone worse for Nico Garcia, as he has yet to find really his rhythm here in stage 1. Now he's trying to gain a spot back here from our driver profile later on the night, Nick King, to try to get back into the top 20. But for Nico Garcia, as a driver, Jeremy, how do you mentally lock back in? It's not been the start he wanted. It starts to snowball. How do you lock back in as a driver in the cockpit?
Yeah, I think right now, if you're Garcia, you just got to not make a mistake and make this issue worse. That damage is definitely going to be repairable, and you'll get the car back as good as new before this thing is over with. So just settle in and ride right now. You're not going to go up there and get points, so why push yourself into a bad spot and potentially have issues? Big, bad moment right there for Aaron Matthews. Blaine Wilson to get way out of the throttle right there to stay out of the back bumper of the 5. That's a few times we've seen the 5 having some moments here so far early in this evening. He's not liking the way that race car is handling it. It's very obvious right now, but he feeds a lot of dirty air to the 18 right there, and you can see just how much of an effect that had on Blaine Wilson, losing a lot of time for 1 and 2.
Pretty well accurate to what we saw in the NASCAR Cup Series back on Sunday. Remember that battle for the win and all the dirty air that Christopher Bell threw across Chase Briscoe's nose and how badly that affected the 19. Tonight we are sure to see more of the same in this one. You're on board further back with Ryan Catalano, another one of our onboard cameras tonight. Of course, was involved in our opening caution, so he's got a little bit of work to do to fix that car and get back in contention, but lucky for him, about 16 laps away from an opportunity to reset, come down pit road, fix some damage, and get back in to this one. Almost a lap 30 mark. Brandon Bowie continues to lead, but Alex Coffey has not let him get away. The lead has not gone further than about half a second. And as we close on the end of stage 1, again, 45 here in stage 1, 45 in stage 2, and 110 in stage 3, which if this first stage is any indication, that third one may very well come down to tire management and pit strategy, something I've seen quite a bit of so far this week.
Yeah, definitely looking like that's how we're going to develop so far tonight. Had a quick early caution, but we've been green since then. Bowie continuing to lead, but Coffey definitely closing that gap. We're going to go back on board of Chris Davis again. The interesting thing to note right here is what's up in front of Chris Davis. That's Kenny Reel in the 10th position. That's the car, 3 cars in front of him right now. And there is almost over, actually, there is over a 3-second gap to the next car after Kenny Reel. So we have 9 cars that have really set the pace and broken away, and Reel on back are just struggling a little bit now, but Davis picks up another spot there for the 12th position on Chandler.
Chris Davis plus 18 for that driver so far. He started 30th tonight. He's up to 12th in just 31 laps at a track that is so clean air reliant. And right behind him is a guy we talked about a moment ago as well, Chris Vinson, trying to get another spot also. For the back, looking on board again with Blaine Wilson as he continues this battle with Aaron Matthews. This has been 5, 8, 10 laps almost between these two cars as Wilson appears to be faster. But again, it takes so much to make a pass here at Nashville. You've got to nail it if you're going to run the bottom and make the pass work. He tries again right here. Down into turn 3. He'll try to get the spot. But again, Matthews running up the racetrack may have run a little too high. And that's what I talked about at the top of the show. You don't want to run that high. Matthews may have gotten the marbles right there. Had to get out of it a little bit more than he wanted to. Wilson on by. And now Hochschild attacks back to one, a pair of neon cars here into turns 1 and 2.
Yeah, 5's definitely still just not quite handling like he needs it to, but good news for him is he has a caution coming up in just a little over 10 laps, so we want to come down, get fresh tires, make some adjustments to that car, get it better for the ensuing run. Hochschild back here, not quite running as good as he would have liked to have started. We've seen him as well involved in some incidents so far, so this gaggle of race cars, some guys that are struggling now. You see some heavy battling up front still taking place at the back half of the top 10. That was Cornette, Harper, and Gallimore all duking it out for P7 right there.
was just going to mention when we got back to it that Paul Gallimore had a bit of a moment there, maybe struggling with some handling or some late run speed in that 11 car. Cornette and Harper took advantage. Cornette to 7th, Harper to the 8th spot. So +2 for Cornette, +4 for Harper on the night. Big slide there off turn 4 for Harper. He has to gather it back up. He'll lose the spot back to Gallimore here back to turn 1. But for Timothy Harper, that almost became the same issue we saw just a few moments ago in our first caution of the night, where a couple cars had major damage. Nashville not forgiving. Caution flag is out once again on lap 30, just short of lap 35, or rather lap 40. The caution flag is on the speedway again. At this point, unsure exactly which cars are involved in this, but it is towards the tail end of the field.
It's like
got a couple cars that have gone around.
Looks like the 22 Murray may have been involved here. I'm not sure who else, though, but his night gets worse, as I do believe he was the car that went around.
Towards the tail end of the field, Alex Murray back to the top of the Hot Sauce Company replay. He was on pit road, coming off of pit road. Again, a bad night in terms of the technical issues for Alex Murray, but does it become an even worse night when he rolls the 22 off pit road? This is on the access road getting off of turn 2. I'm almost positive this has actually happened more than once for him, as I think it happened to him earlier on a pit stop also, and he does. He gets around, knocks the inside wall, and that appears to be another technical issue. So the issues compound for Alex Murray, as again,
it was actually lap 19 for Murray, if we wanted to go ahead and look at that. He got just flat out wrecked into turn 3 for really no reason whatsoever. It was his lap 19. Obviously, he's several laps behind, but just got dumped, and quite a question mark. I wonder if somebody was a little upset that a lap car was passing him, but definitely just not what he was looking for right there.
So it's Murray and Mackin that appear to be the cars that are involved there. A split strategy on pit road, as a few cars are going to be takers here. Paul Gallimore, Jeff Chandler, Mark Sanchez, Nico Garcia, Nick King. A couple of other damaged cars, Trevor Osmond, Johnny Shade, Ryan Catalano, all coming down pit road. Of course, Mackin, Owens, Matt Metler, Caden Norfray going to make pit stops here as well on lap 37. Just short of 10 laps to go in stage number 1. His cars will come down pit road. So Alex Coffey faked like he might have made a pit stop there, but decides to stay out and hold on to the second place track position. So hearing again, obviously, that maybe some tempers flaring on that caution flag between Murray and Mackin. So we'll see if we can't get a look at it here before we go back to green, with just a few laps to go in stage 1. Brandon Bowie continues to lead. Alex Coffey is 2nd. Matt Cox is 3rd. Corey Moore is 4th, and Kyle Holden is up to the 5th spot. Brandon Fetterplace runs 6th with Chris Cornette in 7th. Timothy Harper is up to 8th. Kenny Reel now runs 9th, and Greg Carr runs in the 10th and final spot for stage points. A quintet of double-digit movers, by the way, 10th through 14th. Carr, Davis, Vincent, Sanders, and Wilson, all 11 or more spots up from where they started, rather. So with just under 10 laps to go in stage 1, a number of drivers, and we talked about at the top, who need good runs that could use some bonus points tonight. I look at Vincent, I look at Sanders, I look at Blaine Wilson, Greg Carr, Kenny Reel, guys around the cut line that need the run. This should be an interesting run for the stage points here in stage 1.
Yeah, definitely gonna get a quick little run in here. Some interesting strategy calls obviously come into play here, as well as we were talking about pit stops right there. You can make that stop there and stay out of the stage. Might be a little bit too early for that to necessarily be completely viable, but would not be shocked that that's what some of these drivers were attempting to do. And a great opportunity for some of the cars with damage to get a free stop in here, make some repairs, and then have another opportunity to make some repairs in just another couple of minutes.
Basically 2 chances to get some damage repaired and get back into this race. Again, another reminder, 200 laps, 266 miles in tonight's ICON Apparel Co 266 at Nashville. Going to lap 45 here in stage 1, then to lap 90 for the completion of stage 2, and then on to lap 200 for the completion of tonight's race. Look at the weather forecast, and the temperature is going the other direction of what I thought. It's actually gone up a little bit at track level. Track's gotten a little bit hotter as the race has gone. It's actually come down a little since about the midpoint of stage 1, but up from 86 to 92 from green flag until now about the 40 lap mark. So track getting hotter, tire management even more important here late in stage 1. Back to the Van Lilly Stickers restart zone. Bowie, Coffey on the front row. Coffey had started to run down the points leader late in the run. Can he do it here for the stage win? Green flag. Bowie off to the races. 2, 3 car length lead, and Matt Cox will challenge Coffey back to turn 1.
Real good launch for Bowie again there. He's been so good on each start so far tonight. Gives him Cornette spinning down to the inside of the back straightaway. He's going to hold on to it down there. Keeps down to the grass even, and will stay green.
Man, that is a big time save for Chris Cornette. I saw it starting to happen there off turn 2 and thought for sure he was a goner to the inside grass. Instead, he makes the save and keeps his race alive. Back up front, Bowie, Coffey, Cox, Moore, Holden now that still to continue to be the top 5. But Timothy Harper got a good restart, has vaulted all the way to 6th. He tries to clear Fetter Place here off turn 2, and all of a sudden, welcome to the party, Tim Harper. Down the backstretch, he'll look to the outside of Kyle Holden. He may think about 3 wide. He may have thought about it there on the entry to turn 3. He tries to find clean air, and Harper's arrived on scene late here in stage 1.
Fair Place 2 rolling up there on the inside of Harper. He's coming off back-to-back wins in the All-Star race at Charlotte and then the points-paying race at Charlotte, so he's looking to earn some more points as he's been climbing up the standings recently. A lot of pace. Oh, it's going to be tight with Moore, Harper, and trying to go 3 wide was Harper there in the middle, just couldn't quite do it. They're still going to be fighting it out back here as we're on board right now with Carr in the 25. They still can't settle out this battle. Federplay sliding up the racetrack now, trying to keep it down off the 19 of Corey Moore as they head down the front straightaway.
Couple other cars getting into this. Kenny Reel is in this. Trouble further back. It was Vincent that got sideways off turn 4. He makes the save as well. He'll lose a few spots. Trouble. Timothy Harper's around in turn 1 and into the outside wall. He gets turned in that battle with Moore and Fetter Place and company, and the caution flags out. That'll likely end stage 1, and Cornette slides in late in the 83, right into the driver's door, Timothy Harper.
Take a look right here. Taking a look here on the Top and Off Hot Sauce replay. Harper on the outside, and they're in this corner. Reel just gets in there deep and turns him. We're going to see Johnny Shade with the avoidance of the year right here on the outside of the racetrack, and then Cornette with the Natalie Deca ARCA break of the year simultaneously.
And not ideal there for Chris Cornette as the Walmart Camry slides in late in that one. Here's on board with Johnny Shade. Your Jeremy mentioned this a moment ago. And as he works off turn 4, you're going to see the Vincent half spin there just in front of him. And then the incident kicks up into turn 1. And into turn 1 goes Johnny Shade. And where does he decide to go? The smaller of the 2 windows. And somehow, now he got the wall a little bit, but he'd much rather take that than hit Harper going at that full speed. And the 45, that's impressive for Johnny Shade. But again, Harper around the bumper of Reel and Cornette into it late. So a tough break for those 2 cars, especially Harper. I just talked about him getting into the fight potentially for the points, but right there, he gets turned in turn 1, has pretty significant damage.
As these cars pit, I do just have to take a moment to say, Chris Cornette, that is not the worst I have seen in the last 24 hours. I participated in a league race last night, truck series for area iRacing, and someone managed to ARCA break a wreck roughly 10 seconds after the yellow flew at Darlington. They just never lifted and drove straight into a car that was stationary for 10 seconds. So it could be worse.
It could always be worse, I suppose, but for Cornette, obviously not the ideal situation that he wanted to be in. Everybody coming down pit road here, lap 44 on the board, so the stage is complete. Brandon Bowie did mention, or did rather win at stage 1 under this caution flag. Did forget to mention throughout the chaos of the early parts of this race, as our stage 1 sponsor is Collegiate Sim League. Premier collegiate football sim league. Create your legacy at collegesimleague.com. So thank you to them for their sponsorship of Stage 1. Bowie wins it. Some pit stop strategies that we'll talk about right after this. We're going to take a break and step aside. You won't miss a moment. We'll be back for Stage 2 of the ICON Apparel Co 266 from Nashville. You're watching Precision Entertainment. Welcome back to the ICON Apparel Co 266 from Nashville on this production of the Moonshiners Racing League and its GMD Janitorial Cup Series. Austin Wise and Jeremy Miller with you on a Wednesday night from Nashville. Stage 2 is getting underway. Brandon Bowie won it, but some gambles up front. Nico Garcia leads the field back to the Van Lilly Stickers restart zone. Green flag is in the air. Garcia off and running. The top two, Garcia and Sanchez, stayed out. Nick King came to pit road but gambled on the strategy. So the top three on a little bit less fresh tires than the rest of the field, and Sanchez will get eaten alive off turn 2. Contact with Coffey. He goes the wrong way. King goes the wrong way, and Garcia says, for now, see you later.
Another great launch for our leaders. Seems like the leaders have a massive advantage on those starts and restarts here so far tonight as Garcia gaps the field by over half a second in that lap. But Bowie already back to second with his freshest tires on the racetrack. Should quickly reel in that 8-car Nico Garcia.
Nick King, you're on board with him. We'll do a driver profile on Nick King a little later on in the night. But for now, King runs in the third spot, almost trouble behind him. That was Sanchez that got around on the inside. He makes the save, but will go backwards outside the top 10. The gamble not paying off for the all-silver. 29 trouble. He got into Paul Gallimore there. Everybody saves it there in turns 3 and 4. But again, Sanchez, he is getting eaten for breakfast here down the front stretch, going the wrong way. And Paul Gallimore, some frustration there from car 11 on the front stretch. Bumpers coming together. Trouble. One car around in turn 1. It's Greg Carr right in front of Sanchez. And more are going to pile in. Big hit to the outside wall by one car. Out at the back of that incident, it was Ryan Catalano.
Another car in the grass down the backstretch as well as that wreck continued out of turn 2, but a lot of chaos going on throughout it. You can get a look right here. Gallimore and Sanchez into each other after Sanchez ran into Gallimore like he was the Jets' offensive line, but up here in front of him, you're going to see just Greg Carr just gets dumped there in the turn 1 and nowhere for Sanchez to go.
Oh man, look at the hit for Catalano further back. The car that got around, I thought initially it was Kyle Holden, and I think that is the case. We'll get another look at what happened a little further back. This is on board with Catalano, and this car, I could hardly see it out the back. It was moving so fast when he went left to right and got the outside wall. You'll see the incident spark up in front. A couple of cars get into it, and Catalano, I think he had some help there in the 92, and he gets turned dead sideways. That's likely a night ender for him. Looking back at what happened in this incident for him, and again, this was just a red blur across the screen as hard as he hit the outside safer barrier, and no, just gets loose, trying to jump on the binders, got loose, got the safer barrier, and huge damage for him as he gets the outside wall. You're on board with Murray, and chaos in front of the 22 as he tries to hope for more of that to happen in front of him.
Yeah, that's just really huge hit there for Catalano. That one right there, you saw all 4 tires off the ground, but on board in the back there. Yeah, there was Holden down in that infield. Some more cars with some more damage and some more strategy flip, but Garcia continues to lead this race.
There's at least one other car involved in it. It turns out, I believe it was Jose Medina. That was the car I saw, monster truck over top of one of the cars involved, Greg Carr right there. So I think it was the Medina machine that does get the other piece of that in the initial incident. And of course, we had a car off further up than it was Kyle Holden. He dropped out of the top 10 back to 20th or the 97. So a number of cars involved in this one. By the way, also Matt Metler, as of now, is retired from this race as well as of lap 36. Ryan Catalano going to call it a night here on lap 48. So a number of drivers already experiencing the chaos of Music City. One of the drivers that wanted to be a part of the chaos is our driver in focus tonight, the driver of the 12th, Warrior Racing. It is Nick King, the red, white, and blue color still aboard. His number 12, the Columbia, South Carolina native, 35 years of age, 145 career starts here in the Moonshiners Racing League. If it wasn't obvious, his favorite driver is Ryan Blaney. He does channel Ryan Blaney quite a bit on the paint schemes. So for Nick King, going with, again, the red, white, and blue look aboard that 12. Very sharp-looking colors for him tonight. And a quick fact about him as well, 145 starts. He does have a career win in the Moonshiners Racing League. He won back at Talladega in a playoff race in 2022. So Nick King, a winner in this series in his career, and a guy that shows up to the track with speed every week and is never unwilling to be a part of the chaos. Nick King, our driver in focus, also a former U.S. Army infantry as well. He owns Warrior Reps and Warrior Racing. So Nick King, our driver in focus tonight. We'll see if we can talk to him a little bit later on in the show. The 12 runs 4th, and a good time for him to be our driver profile, Jeremy, as he starts 4th right here on this restart. He made it work on that initial start. Can he do it again here on a restart?
It's going to be tougher right back here, a little more traffic around him. It's going to make it more difficult for his situation, but he did a good job last time. No reason to think he won't do a good job again this time, but might just lose a little bit more ground just simply by the circumstances he's been put into.
We're going to go back to green on lap 52, just over a quarter of the way through this one. Nico Garcia continues to be the leader for now over Brandon Bowie. Then it is Coffee and King on row 2. Cox and Moore back on row 3 with Fetter Place, Real, Davis, and Wilson. And now the top 10, so some shakeups towards the back half of the top 10 as we get ready to go back under the green. And as we get ready to restart here in just a moment. Again, Garcia on older tires than the rest of the leaders. Will he get a better start this time like he did last time, or will he get eaten alive? Green flag back in the air. Garcia off and running. Another good start. Caught Bowie sleeping on the outside. Coffee says thank you very much, and he'll likely drive to second by the time they enter turn 1.
Garcia still not getting quite as far away this time. Bowie hanging hard on that outside of Coffee. Coffee wants to make this spot here right now. If he could pass Bowie, he'd be able to go get Garcia himself, but he's not going to be able to do so. Bowie clear for second, and he sets his sights instantly towards the right rear of Garcia, trying to find a way around that 8 for the lead. He follows up hard. He's going to get him right here.
Oh, but he slid just a little bit. He got loose off turn 4. Did Brandon Bowie trying to get back into the throttle and make that pass, knowing how important track position is. He gets wicked loose there off turn 4, and now have to again fight off the defending champion Alex Coffey for second as Garcia tries to run away and set sail here in stage 2. Nick King, by the way, is held on to 4th place. You're on board with him as of right now. So far, the gamble for him on pit road is working. Matt Cox in the 5th spot trying to work on him. Better place more. Everything else is singled out behind them. Kenny Reel is inside the top 10 again. So is Wayne Bowen for the first time tonight in the 10th spot. Quickly, as we are back under green on lap 53, a quick hit down to our pit reporter Cody Banta on Nico Garcia.
Yeah, just on Garcia, just spoke a little with him between the caution break, and he said that he had pitted earlier around 4 to 5 laps, so the tire wear between those who have pitted and him, not that much of a difference, guys. Back to you.
That would make sense why he would gamble and get the track position back then. Obviously coming down to fix the right front damage. That damage is fixed. That car is back to full song. He is on a little bit older tires, but certainly not the disadvantage that we saw a little while ago. Have to imagine that perhaps the same is true for the King and Sanchez machines that tried those gambles as well. On board further back, this is Chris Davis, who is in the 14th spot now, was up almost to the 10th position at the end of stage 1, having to work back towards that spot with a couple of guys gambling on pit road in front of him. Back up front, battle for the lead continues to brew. Bowie back to the back bumper of Garcia. It's about a car length distance there, then a car length more back to Alex Coffey in 3rd. Garcia trying to hang on for dear life with 35 to go in stage 2, though a tall task to hold off the points leader and Coffey from 2nd and 3rd.
Looking on board Coffey here now up front. Bowie and Garcia still maintaining that gap. Garcia maintaining that lead. We know Garcia is a car with a lot of strong pace. He was a contender to win a week ago at Charlotte, just didn't quite have it break his way. See right there, Brandon Bowie ran the fastest lap of the race a few laps ago, so right now he's showing that pace still strong in 51, but Garcia able to hold him off back here, though. Nick King has maintained that 4th position on the restart, done a great job, but Matt Cox starting to try to work his way forward on him. Better place on board just behind these guys, the winner a week ago, as we've mentioned before, with a great view of this battle, as the 0-0 can't quite find a way around the 12 just yet.
Really good defensive work here from Nick King to hold on to 4th place so far. Again, this gamble on pit road. He did come down pit road with the leaders under that last caution, but took either 2 or no tires on the pit lane, and it's continuing to make that gamble work to this point from the 4th position, playing good defense on Matt Cox and company right now. On board further back, saw Kyle Holden go through the grass a moment ago in that last caution flag just before the end of stage 1. He has recovered all the way back to 13th. We saw him as high as 5th in that opening stage as he works on Wayne Bowen's back bumper. That would be for the 12th spot. Speaking of Bowen, trouble. Around goes to 78 right in front of Kyle Holden, and that will draw the 5th caution flag of the night as Bowen goes for a spin in turn 4. Everybody will avoid. It'll be a single car spin, but trouble for Wayne Bowen as he had just fallen out of the top 10.
He was able to lock it down and avoid any further damage, but the front of that car did get punched in pretty hard on the outside wall. We were just talking about Holden and Bowen in this battle. You see the 97 on the back bumper with the 78 right here. Just 78 overdrove, trying to protect the line and just kind of spun himself out.
Tough break there for that BMP-sponsored entry of Wayne Bowen. He does nose it into the outside wall, but again, other than flat spotting the tires, likely that will not be a fatal incident for the 78 of Bowen. I want to talk about one of our partners here at the Moonshiners Racing League, that being Top It Off Hot Sauce Company. Revved up flavor and heat. Use code MRL15 for 15% off your entire order. Go to www.topitoffsauce.com to place your order today. Thanks to those folks for their sponsorship of Moonshiners and keeping us going over the Top It Off Hot Sauce Company replay. So under caution for the 5th time tonight, as we are just past, or rather just before, the lap 60 mark. Before we go back green under this, the 5th caution flag of the night. We'll jump back into the Precision Entertainment broadcast booth. So far, a little more chaotic than I think I expected, Jeremy. This place has not played much into the chaos factor, especially not like Charlotte did for the last couple of weeks. But certainly on a Wednesday night, chaos will happen, and so far it's affected quite a few of our top runners in points.
Yeah, we saw some early wrecks and then a good green flag run, then a little caution, a little spur of cautions right there as we went through the end of that stage and the beginning of this stage. Hopefully they can clean it back up as we start to work closer to that lap 90 mark, where we have another stage cars come out, and then we'll have one final run of 110 laps to the end, and we'll see how that goes. But I think these guys will clean it up. These have been just kind of small incidents, nothing major or anything too out of the ordinary to where it would look like a trend that is set to continue.
So under again, the 5th caution of the night, the lap 60 is on the board. Garcia continues to be the leader again on this little bit of a gamble on pit road, as he did pit about 5 laps before that last caution. Brandon Bowie, Alex Coffey, Nick King, and Matt Cox continue to be the top 5. Fetter Place, Moore, Reel, Wilson, and now Gallimore, the rest of the top 10. A guy we've not talked a lot about, by the way, Sean Rogers, plus 21 for that BMP entry tonight, up to the 11th spot. So first mention for him tonight. And downstairs again to track level, our pit reporter Cody Vanta's got more on Wayne Bowen.
Yep, just spoke with Wayne Bowen over here. He said that he had about a minute worth of damage and that he was going to go a lap down. And just to talk about the 44, he said that he was feeling tight, so that 44 team just trying to figure out how to fix that car and get that car running. Back to you guys.
Trying to dial in the setup. We did hear that early in the night from drivers in practice. Some teams were building loose, some teams were building tight as they got onto the racetrack tonight and worked into race conditions. So for Rogers, obviously on the tighter end of that spectrum, trying to work it back to where it is comfortable for him to drive through the field. Furthest up he's been scored just inside of the top 10 as of right now. Actually going to restart in the 11th spot for Rogers. So we'll see what the 44's got in store for us the rest of the night. Garcia, though, continues to make this work, and the more cautions that he gets, the more chances he has to cool down those tires, the better this gamble looks as he continues to lead the way, looking for another win this season. He'll come off turn 4 and back into the Van Lilly Stickers restart zone. He'll be alongside Brandon Bowie, who attacked him a moment ago. Is the restart as good this time? Green flag back in the air? Yes, it is. Garcia off and running. Coffey and Cox time that up well. In fact, Cox wants 3 for 1 into turn 1. He thought about a move on Coffey there. Coffey runs high on Bowie. Bowie rides the rail and gets back to the outside of Coffey off turn 2.
Coffey just not quite able to clear the 51 of Bowie. It looked like he was going to have it there and just didn't really come to fruition. They're still going to be side by side here for a second. Bowie sends it off in there. Coffey did too, though. He missed the bottom. That's going to give the 51 the advantage here off of turn number 4.
And 51 can run about anywhere he wants to in terms of the viable racing lines here tonight in Nashville. Matt Cox, by the way, the defending winner of this race, continues to run 4th, although he'll face a bit of a challenge here from Nick King into turn 1. King trying for the right rear. Cox may slam the door in his face here off turn 2. He will do just that. So that's the battle for 4th, just behind our race leaders. Then Fetter Place runs the popcorn seat for that battle. King again to the outside. Cox runs the bottom. Look at how deep Nick King drives into turn 3. He'll make it work this time, or will he? He'll drive alongside Matt Cox. Power move. Nick King put him back to 4th as Fetter Place moves into this battle as well. He'll try to make it 2 for 1, but get caught in the dirty air wake behind those 2 race cars. And Corey Moore takes advantage and jumps to his outside, is up front, knocking on the door. Nico Garcia's got company in the form again of Brandon Bowie.
Bowie's just hanging on the back right there, not able to quite get to his inside or outside yet for Diego Garcia, so doing a good job defending right now. Bowie definitely's got some good pace. Coffey into the fence a little bit there off of turn 4. Little taps like that are always okay in this race car, but you don't ever want to hit it too much harder. It's where you can start to do some real damage to the machine, but Garcia is still maintaining this lead and doing a great job, hitting his marks every lap so far, hasn't put a wheel wrong.
Corey Moore to the outside of Brandon Fetter place. That is for 6th. Again, Moore ran as high as 4th early on in this race. He'll work on Brandon Fetter place. Winner back-to-back in Charlotte. Off turn 4, Moore noses ahead, but Fetter place doing a good job to hang alongside. The outside's been the preferred way to get around this place so far in a side-by-side battle. Moore is unable to make the pass so far. Kenny Reel, you're on board with him. He is back up to the 8th position. Number 99 continues to be impressive tonight, although now he's got company. Gallimore, Holden on his back bumper, looking for a couple of spots there as well. Holden's recovery continues, by the way. He was 21st after the slide through the grass. He is back up to 10th in place for stage points in the next 25 laps. Most of it is singled out. Another recovery a little further back. I just saw him poke his nose out. Timothy Harper back to 13th position after the crash in turn 1. He has repaired that car and is back on the charge.
He's doing a good job right now. You see Gallimore right there in front of him in that silver chromatic 11 right there, working off the back of Kenny Reel. Kenny Reel still hanging out in the top 10. Looking to the inside now, though, is Gallimore. Not quite going to get there, but he's going to put some air on the left rear of the 99. Might push him up the racetrack, but it seemed to have gotten the 11 more tight than it affected the 99. But Corey Moore, working to the outside of Fetter place in front of them, continues to charge forward.
Well, for a moment, this battle was over. Corey Moore had just driven back in front of Brandon Fetter place, but now Fetter place attacks back on the inside again. Moore tries to ride that second, almost third lane. Almost some contact there in the middle of the corner between those two cars. They will stay side by side. Really good battle here for the 6th position. Matt Cox starting to go to work on Nick King, by the way, for 4th, as you see the dirty air wake right there. Kenny Reel completely misses the bottom. The wake off the front of the 34 gets all inside the cockpit of the 99, and that car does not want to turn in the center of the corner. Gallimore will attack him here down into turn 1. That is for 8th between those two cars. Fetter place got that 6th spot back, so he'll maintain that for the time being as Holden watches on trouble. Nick King just ahead of these guys. Through the grass goes to 12. He spun off turn 2 in the battle with Matt Cox, and he's going to drop a ton of spots, but we stay green.
Yeah, we do stay green, but Nick King lost everything right there. He's still trying to get it back going out the pace. Take a look at a Top It All Hot Sauce Company replay. This is the 97 of Kyle Holden just behind the incident that took place. There's Nick King up here in the 12. He was in front of Matt Cox, continuing to try to battle for his position. Cox had passed him, and King took the position back, and he just got loose right there and lost him. But Vincent just wrecked hard on the live shot.
Chris Vincent, a big crash here in turn 1, has drawn the 6th caution flag of the night. He will come to a stop. Does not appear that anyone else has gotten involved in this. We look at one more angle of the Nick King spin over off the exit of turn 2. This is going to help King a lot, by the way, after he got through the grass. But for Chris Vincent, just up ahead of this, he was back around the Osborne, Murray, and Owens machines. And see what happens here down into turn 1. It'll be the next time by, as we were watching the replay of the Nick King spin. Vincent is going to crash awfully hard over here in turn 1. And this was a great run going for Vincent, but right there, Osborne gets deep into the corner. Very similar, actually, to what we saw a little earlier with Kenny Reel and Timothy Harper as those two cars come together on the entry to turn 1.
Yeah, we're going to have a look at it on board 89 right here. He tries to dive under the 33. It just didn't really get there and got into the left rear, and then sent that 33 back up the racetrack hard into the outside wall. It just seems like guys are misjudging how hard they can drive into that corner, trying to make passes that are a little bit overly optimistic, leading to some of these crashes.
It's especially tough in this Gen 7 race car, a car that does not like to stop a lot of the times. A lot of brake lockup when you're trying to jump on the binders of this race car on corner entry. It's often tough to get that car to slow down. So we're under the caution for the under the caution flag for the 6th time tonight on lap 71. And maybe not the best moment to get a chance to talk to our driver in focus, but perhaps let's see if we can get a word with him real quick as drivers come to pit road, although he is making a pit stop, so let's give him just a moment to get on and off of pit road, as he did go for the slide through the grass. So we will give him just a second to speak with his team on pit road. Then we'll talk to our driver in focus, Nick King, as he goes up on the jacks in that number 12 machine. And again, was as high as 4th in this race. Had just taken that spot back from Matt Cox, and unfortunately for him, got loose off turn 2, went for a spin, but a long race to go, over half of the distance still to go for Nick King. And let's get a chance to talk to him now. Our driver in focus tonight is the 12 of Nick King. Thought we were going to get a chance to talk to him. He is not present in any of the voice channels, so unfortunate there, but going to get a look at our driver in focus tonight as King runs back towards the tail of the top 25. We got a long way to go in this one. If you're just joining us, it's been pretty chaotic to this point. Only one caution for the stage break, and even that caution was a caution for incidents. So 6 cautions, all for incidents on track. A number of high-running drivers and points have been involved in incidents tonight. A number of drivers around the cut line have been involved in incidents tonight. Nashville is taking no prisoners as of lap 72.
Just continuing to see that little bit of a negative trend so far, but I do still have faith as the track will cool down, as the lights are coming on and the sun's going down, that all the speeds will pick up the grip well as well. We should see less issues as we are down a driver there in one of our chairs.
We're already down an onboard camera, and now we're down another driver in the chair. The onboard camera stays on, but the driver has left the cockpit, so perhaps a quick concession stand break there on the pit lane for Chris Cornett. That's the onboard camera there as Cornett has stepped away for a moment. But nonetheless, really quickly before we go back green, down to pit road again. A quick hit on the damage to the Chris Vincent machine. Our pit reporter, Cody Banta.
Yeah, guys, sorry I couldn't find Chris Cornett over here in the concession stands, but I do have an update on that 33 car. It seems that he had about 6 minutes worth of damage, so he's trying to get that fixed up as much as he can, guys. Back to you.
Cody Banta looking for Cornett on his snack break down there, so unfortunately could not find him. But nonetheless, as we look at Chris Vincent, we'll see what the recovery does for that 33 machine. Garcia, Bowie, Coffey, Cox, and Fetter Place continue to be your top 5 as we are just about 30 laps from halfway here at the Nashville Superspeedway. Garcia did a good job there, actually drove away from Bowie a little bit later in that run. Green flag again, and again he's on the money on the restart. This time, 1 car length, almost 2, will be the lead back to turn 1. And Coffey this time, for the moment, clears Brandon Bowie for second, the first change for that position in a while.
See what Coffey can do with that track position now, see if he has anything more. Oh, we got one around, that's Aaron Matthews in the 5 down the back straightaway. Not going to hit anything, but that will put us under caution once again here on lap 74 at Nashville.
Is towards the tail end of the lead lap cars. It was off turn 2. Again, this has been a danger spot tonight to this point for the grip to go away on these race cars. Matthews running around Owens, Norfray, Greg Carr, Chris Davis, and others back here again towards the back half of the top 20. And off turn 2, it's very similar to what we saw with Nick King just a moment ago on the outside of Matt Cox. That car gets loose on exit. It gets upset. May have hit a bump on the racetrack, or perhaps the car just snapped out from under him, and Matthews goes for a slide there down the backstretch.
Yeah, definitely just lost it there. A little bit of a compromised aero situation for 5, but also probably just a little bit more throttle than he needed to be carrying up off that corner, sent him around. Sorry, excuse me there, but good job by Greg Carver in behind him, giving him the space to spin it down there and avoid any contact.
A couple of single car incidents have put us under the caution flag here back-to-back times on lap 75. Nico Garcia continues to be the race leader. Alex Murray's getting another lap back. I'll tell you this, Jeremy, you talked about how out of the realm of possibility it might have been for Alex Murray to get those laps back. He's still got a ways to go. The rate we're going with caution, 7 and 76 laps. I mean, at this point, is a miracle possible?
He'd be in a lot better shape if his screen didn't freeze after he rejoined the first time. He ended up losing double the laps than he would have because he had to go through the process of leaving and rejoining twice, unfortunately for him. But also was not able to be the benefactor of the lucky dog on one of the yellows, as he was the yellow in one of our incidences. He was dumped, so that was another incident where he wasn't able to get a lap back. But it's just definitely not enough time left realistically for him to get this done, because if they keep wrecking at that rate, eventually other cars will probably end up laps down in front of him. But I mean, I guess we should never say never.
It would take a serious miracle, but you're right. He did lose several more laps down, 13 laps down for Murray. But keeping at it is the 22. Again, we'll try to maximize what he can out of tonight. With the chaos going on, he will be able to profit some spots at the very least and finish a little higher than he currently runs right now, back in the 30th spot. So again, Garcia continuing to lead. This time, though, he'll have Alex Coffey to his right elbow rather than Brandon Bowie. Bowie has been relegated to 3rd. Then it's Matt Cox, then it's Brandon Fetterplace. Then the rest of the top 10, some shuffling here. Corey Moore is 6th, Sean Rogers is 7th, Paul Gallimore is 8th, Kenny Reel is 9th, Kyle Holden is back to 10th. Timothy Harper, by the way, all the way back to 11th. And a quick hit down to pit road again. Cody Manta, what have you heard on Jose Medina in car number 24?
Medina's still suffering with damage, but he started off with 7 minutes worth of damage, and now he's down to 3 minutes and 30 seconds. So, back to you guys.
He'll need some more chaos as well to get that car fixed, but again, the rate we're going, likely that Medina will get that car back to full song before the end of the night. And again, these kinds of races, once you get into that position as a driver, you got to love these kinds of races. If you're a guy like Jose Medina right now, Jeremy, it's giving you chances to perhaps get back in this, and not only that, and giving you a chance to get some spots once he does get that car repaired.
Yeah, Medina's just working his way back in. That's where VZLs are more beneficial than it is for a guy like Murray, as those guys with damage and just need to work that number down. It used to be a lot easier to get your car fixed on iRacing than it is now, because we used to have 5 caution laps at most places, but down to 3 universally across the service now at all these racetracks. It really reduces the opportunity for drivers to fix their damage.
Here's our 5 onboard cameras. Again, we still do not have Chris Cornett as his car continues to sit on pit road. The seat is vacant. Continues to be for the 83, but he did leave the camera on for us. So still looking on board there with Chris Cornett despite being on pit road. Still at that snack break. Green flag back in the air, lap 78 on the board now as they come across the line. Garcia got on the money again. Coffee, though, now will be attacked by Bowie, so that track position will come on the wayside here in turn 1, trying to clear down in front of Bowie. Bowie trying to hang on the left rear, gets a little bit loose. Does the 51. As further back, it's battling with Kenny Reel and company. Big slide there as Reel tries to hold off Harper, Gallimore, and others.
Coffee cleared him right there out of turn 4 now, so once again he's going to try to see what he can do. Oh, there's a spinner down the front straightaway. That might have been Sanders down for being fielded. It is Barry Sanders. Got dumped by somebody down the front straightaway. Will stay green, though, as once again a driver is able to keep taking care of it. He almost smoked the cone right there, but able to avoid any further incident. He gets back up onto the banking and will continue on.
Wayne Wilson was the other car involved in that. The 2 cars that came together off turn 4, and Sanders very lucky he did not clip part of pit road right there. It would have incurred a penalty that likely would have been fatal to his chances to secure a good finish tonight. He would have gone multiple laps down. Absolute mess back here behind the leaders, back around Kyle Holden as he tries everything in his power to work back into the top 5, but he is in a mess behind Sean Rogers. Rogers running 6th. Behind him, 5 cars under a blanket. Back to Harper and Reel. That is the tail end of this battle. Holden trying to work on the outside of Corey Moore, but he is dangerously close to the marbles here in turn 3. So far, though, making it work in the 97. That car is sporty.
Yeah, he's doing a good job right now, recovering well from his earlier incident. Right now, still climbing through the field up to P7 with this move once he gets clear of the 19 of Moore, which he looks to do so right there. Back here on board with the 45 at Johnny Shade. Remember, he had that incredible crash avoidance earlier here, Dawson. He's recovered all the way back to P12 after that slight contact with the wall. Doing so up front, though, Coffee to the rear bumper of the 8 of Nico Garcia.
And I think Alex Coffey knows Brandon Bowie running 3rd right now and is a bit of a distance away from the leaders. Coffey knows this is his best opportunity to get track position, get clean air, and sail away and try to take control of this race here late in the going of stage number 2. Only 9 laps to go in RS Button Boxes stage 2. I want to thank RS Button Boxes for their promotion of stage 2 here on Wednesday nights. Coffey to the outside. This for the race lead. Garcia has the luck finally run out on the gamble. Side by side, turns 3 and 4. Coffey trying to stay out of the marbles. Garcia trying to play defense. They almost make contact there at the line. Coffey door to door with Garcia. This is bringing Bowie back to the fight. Coffey's got to make this quick with a couple more cars looming. Garcia deep into turn 1. No match. Coffey drives past him off turn 2. Garcia's loose. New leader. It's the champ, Alex Coffey.
Just no grip there in the 8 machine to fight him off there. Didn't really side draft quite as hard as he could have down the front straightaway. Don't know if it would have mattered either way. The 54 clear to the lead. We'll see what Garcia does now as he has some dirty air on the nose. Coffey a little bit loose there off of turn 4, but Garcia equally tight, not able to challenge with that fatigue.
And Garcia is still making this work, by the way. Again, considering he was 20 at the moment ago, he'll dive to the inside. He wants to lead back. Big turn to the center of the corner. Similar to how we've seen this 8-car run at these 1.5 miles this year. He's got really good center of the corner speed. He almost made it work to hold alongside Alex Coffey. Again, he'll dive underneath here in turn 3, so the battle is not over quite yet. By the way, Brandon Bowie got attacked for 3rd. Matt Cox made the pass, so move Cox to the 3rd spot as he will be the one watching the battle for the lead as Bowie's on the defensive now. Back to turn 1.
Garcia had a real nice surge here for 3 and 4, looking like he had a chance to put up a fight for Coffee now after he got past. He did it again here for 1 and 2. Garcia's car seems to be handling a little bit better with some derriere on the nose. Maybe he was just a little bit too loose in clean air, trying to mount a charge back. Coffee's definitely feeling the pressure, aero blocking hard there on the 8 of Garcia. Back here though, Holden and Harper, these two have both had issues up inside our top 10, however. Great recovery drivers by each of these drivers. Harper takes P7 away from the 97 of Kyle Holden.
But up front, it's Garcia, half a car length out to the lead. Garcia inside of Coffee, contact, 8 and 54 off turn 2. Coffee has to jump in the binders to stay out of the wall, somehow keeps his foot in it enough to stay alongside. This is bringing Matt Cox into this conversation slowly but surely as these guys focus on one another. Cox has picked up 2 to 3 tenths on the Delta over the last 4 laps or so. 4 to go in stage 2. Can Cox get there in time? Coffee at the line by a nose. Back to turn 1. They'll stay side by side. Coffee a little bit higher that time on entry. Garcia drove it in deep. Coffee keeps it alongside him, and again they'll drag race down the backstretch. Again, almost contact off turn 2. But this time, Garcia with a nose in front. He'll try to drive deep into turn 3, but Coffee matched it. Gets back alongside him. 3 to go in the stage of the line, and Matt Cox is on the way.
I am just so impressed with Garcia right now as he gets back into the door of Coffee a little bit right there. I thought this battle was over. He found something more in the car, dug deep, and is now challenging to get back around that 54. Still just not quite able to clear Coffee, though. What a battle between these two as they're closing in on 2 left in the stage. Next time at the line, they hit again off of turn number 2. And they wrecked in the back. That'll be the stage. Who was ahead?
Oh, it's a photo finish for the stage. I think it's Coffee by a nose, and that's going to rob us of what would have been an incredible battle to the end of this second stage. It is Blake Hochschild that's gone around towards the tail end of the field in the 38. It will bring us under the caution, and again, much like stage 1, stage 2 will end under the caution flag as well. Top it off, Hot Sauce Company replay as lap 88 goes on the board. Hochschild, similar to King and a couple of others tonight, gets loose in turns 1 and 2, and around he goes. Lucky for him, he locks it down, and it appears to be just a single car incident.
The 30 of William Owens now. You see them side by side in front of them, Hochschild and Davis respectively. And the 38's just loose, and there it goes, backs it into the fence. No contact from any other race cars.
It's incredibly lucky there for Hochschild to get away from this without much other contact. You're on board with Chris Davis now, as we'll watch this one happen over into turn 1, as it is Hochschild that gets loose. And again, this has been the dangerous spot for cars over there on that end of the racetrack. Hochschild backs into the outside wall, but again, this could have been so much worse. With onrushing traffic, lucky for him, nobody in the path of that 38 machine. So with that ending the stage, cars coming onto pit road. Most everyone will make a pit stop here. Only lap down cars appear to be staying on the speedway to get one lap back by the virtue of the lucky dog, or one back by way of the wave around. All the lead lap cars are on pit road. It is a busy place as we now turn our attention to the stage that will have the only green flag pit stop of the night in stage 3.
Yeah, we'll see if we get to see that. Not looking to be the most promising of situations so far tonight, but these races do trend to clean up in that last stage as drivers settle in, knowing it's going to be the longest runs of the day. Need to save those tires, but we'll watch the battle off pit road here. Coffee's going to beat them all off. Garcia in second, Bowie third, Fetter place fourth, and that'll be the race off pit road right there. Good job by Coffee to maintain that lead.
We'll step aside for a moment. When we come back, it's the conclusion of the ICON Apparel Co 266 at Nashville Superspeedway for the Moonshiners Racing League and a GMD Janitorial Cup Series. We'll be right back after this. at Nashville Superspeedway for the conclusion of the Moonshiners Racing League and its GMD Janitorial Cup Series. The ICON Apparel Co. 266 at Nashville. Alex Coffey won the race off pit road and as such will lead the field back to the Vanderlei Stickers restart zone. He'll have Nico Garcia alongside him. We saw the battle between these two a moment ago. Green flag back in the air. Garcia does not go. Bowie does behind Coffey. It's likely that Coffey and Bowie will come together again. These two have shared battles throughout the season. They'll share another, but not for dirty air across the 51. You see how much he had to lift. Battle for second off two behind the leader.
Still side by side right there. Bowie will slide in behind. Coffey trying to stretch his legs a little bit out front right now. We'll see what Garcia can do. Even tires here. 3 wide though back here. Cox, Real, and Gallimore there on the outside of those two. Cox will slide up in front of that 11. Now staying on the outside of the 99 at Kenny Real as they continue to fight for those positions. Up front though, that's Sean Rogers there in that new looking white and black 44. We haven't really talked about him at all tonight. He's found his way into the top 5 here when it starts to matter the most.
Been quiet for most of the night. I mentioned it earlier. He was up to the 11th position, slowly working into this battle, into the front 8 or so cars. He's now in the thick of it in the 5th position right behind Brandon Fetterplace. You're on board with Kyle Holden. His recovery continues. 6th for him, 7th for Timothy Harper. Both those cars were crashed earlier in the race. Both have recovered to get back inside of the top 6, or rather top 7, late in the going, or at least towards the halfway mark. You're on board with Matt Cox. He lost a few spots on pit road. He runs 8th right now, but goes on offense here on Timothy Harper back to turn 3. Cox will dive in on the inside. Harper, the defensive outside lane, is where he will run for the time being. He gets a nice run on the second lane there. On board with Rogers as he attacks Fetterplace and Holden for the 4th position here. A 3-way battle for 4th, but now becomes a battle for 5th. Here's Holden on the outside.
Just trying to hold him down on the bottom of the racetrack right now. We're working that top lane defensively on the outside of the 44. Actually gets to be offensive in this situation, so trying to take that spot away. Better place in front of these guys, starting to fall into their clutches. Wobber side by side, so 97 right now with some pretty good pace. We'll see if he can get any run on the 34 right there. 38 is going to wash him just a little bit, but he still gets to run back to the back bumper here, working, trying to get that 4th place away from the 34 Fetter Place, last week's winner.
Back-to-back wins for Brandon Fetterplace. We talked about the win in the All-Star race and the win in the points-paying race last week at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Finally got to victory lane. It had been a great start to the year as Holden knocks the wall there off turn 2. It had been a great start to the year for him. For the last couple of weeks, he's found that winning pace, and the field obviously got to be a little bit worried if Brandon Fetterplace finds some momentum. He's been fast all year. We can start rattling off wins, sure to be in the championship contention discussion if he was not already as one of the favorites. Holden around him, though, on the outside for the 4th spot. It's Kyle Holden moving up to P4. Rogers going to try to make it 2 for 1. We have not talked about Rogers much tonight, but he's found some serious mid-race speed in this 44 machine. All of a sudden, in contention for a top 5 like we expected him to be. The car's come to life here at lap 97.
Yeah, it's really come to life right now, climbing up forward even further here on the outside of Fetterplace, who's starting to fade a little bit. You see Harper there and behind these two as well right now as they're side by side. We'll see what that 23 picks to do here. He's going to follow for now as a look off the back of the 97. Still side by side, no one able to gain an advantage just yet between the 34 and 44.
Rogers trying to get 5th away from Fetterplace. Timothy Harper trying to get both of these spots as his recovery drive continues. Matt Cox has not been able to get further up than the 8th position on the racetrack right now. Battle behind them, by the way, Gallimore and Real was for ninth, but Gallimore clears to the 9th spot for the time being on lap 99 of 200 here. So just short of halfway home. In fact, 2 laps from the halfway mark. Fetterplace now with Harper challenging. This is for 6th. Almost contact there. That was razor thin. And Matt Cox says, thank you very much. I'll take one of those spots as well. By the time Brandon Fetterplace looks up, he may be 8th after running 4th just a moment ago.
Yeah, just not the best set of laps right there. On board, though, in third or back in the field. Blake Hoshio in the 38. We see Aaron Matthews in the 5 in front of him. Both these drivers have had some incidents throughout the night. Haven't quite been able to recover just yet, but they're still running, and there's still plenty of time for them to do so. Further up front, though, Cox and Fetterplace still side by side for his 7th position. Fetterplace going to lose that position and tuck up in behind Cox here as they head down to turn number 3.
Cox will go to work on Harper for the 6th spot as he tries to recover from losing a few spots on the pit lane just a moment ago. Gallimore starts to work into this conversation, by the way. The silver and yellow bumblebee looking Chevrolet as he works into this battle. You're on board now with second place Nico Garcia. He has not lost a ton of ground on Alex Coffey. He's kept him within arm's reach, but that's as close as he has been able to get since he lost the lead a little while ago, before our last caution flag. So for Garcia, the gamble continues to pay off for now, but he has not yet been able to get back to the Alex Coffey machine from the second spot. On board with Nick King, our driver in focus tonight. We talked about him and his slide through the grass a little while ago. His recovery drive is on. He's up to 14th and now works on more Owens and potentially Shade the next 3 spots in front of him. He's got Blaine Wilson all over his back bumper. He's in a mess of Dig eSports Camrys back here around the 15th spot. But the caution flag's out, and it's for Hallshield.
Another incident for Hallshield down in turns 1 and 2. Has not been the day that this driver was hoping for, as he'll try to get it back fired up here. Once again, not any heavy damage for him, but just not able to put a run together so far tonight here in the 38.
9th caution flag of the night. It's running alongside the other neon car in the field, and he got way too high there. I talked about the marbles on the outside of this racetrack and how much the car does not want to turn. If you get up that high, you can actually see them there on the racetrack. If you get up that high, the car is likely going to snap out from under him. As you get back in the gas with dirty Goodyear Eagles, that car does not want to turn through the center of the corner. He actually backs it in an almost identical spot to his spin just a few moments ago. It's almost a near identical incident for Hallshield. He goes for a slide, hits the outside wall, gets a little bit more damage, but again, really no harm, no foul for him, and a long way to go to recover.
Yeah, he'll be able to continue chugging along after that one, so I would say no harm, no foul from that perspective, but obviously any driver doesn't want to be the cause of the caution, so he'll be looking to reset once again. I think he needs to just work on tightening that car up from what we've seen so far here, Dawson. Just not able to quite keep the back end under him, as we got some decisions being made, drivers staying out, almost some contact there as Garcia pulled back up on the banking rather aggressively, trying to stay out of pit road.
And drivers trying to deke on pit road. A couple of takers, by the way. Moore, Wilson, Davis, Sanders, Osmanoff, Chandler, Mack, and Sanchez on back from there. Before we go back to green, just past halfway, let's talk to the man running in the second spot, the 8 of Nico Garcia. And Nico, as we passed the halfway point, gambled a little bit earlier on about 5 to 6 lap older tires. How would you say that car is holding up here as we get later into the run in stage 3?
The car feels really good, man. I got kind of screwed at the beginning of the race there and got pushed back to like 20th, but I pitted, grabbed some tires, just stood out when everybody else went in at the stage, and the tire wear isn't really bad here, so that wasn't really a bad thing to happen. So, just trying to make the most of it. Car's really fast right now. I think we have a lot of speed left in the car, and we made the right adjustments at the pit stop, and the car feels really good, so looking to keep it going.
Obviously, having dialed it in on pit road, obviously still almost 100 laps to go, 97 to go, going to be 95 when we go back green. You're now going to be restarting second. What's the game plan? What do you need to do to get back around the 54 of Alex Coffey and go to victory lane tonight in Music City?
I think the big thing right here is getting a really good start on Coffey. Starts are really big here, and if you can get clean air on the front end of the car feels really, really good. So if I can get a good start here and at least get next to Coffey going into 1, I'll get a shot at the lead. That'd be fantastic. I can keep him behind me after that.
Well, Nico, apologies obviously on us moving you there on pit entry. Obviously, guys playing some strategy calls there, but nonetheless, best of luck the rest of the way. We'll see if we're talking to you from Victory Designs Victory Lane at the end of this thing.
Fantastic, guys. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
So for Nico Garcia, Jeremy, heard him say he made some adjustments, and you can tell that car is dialed in, unlike it was the beginning of the race. We talked about the struggles at the start. Those struggles have been fixed. Now he'll start on the inside of row 1 here. Alex Coffey elects the outside of the opening row. And as we look at our onboard cameras, our validly onboard cameras, of course, Garcia carries one, Davis, Sanders, a couple of others, and Chris Cornett has returned to the cockpit of the race car from the concession stand.
Yes, he has. Obviously, an abundance of laps down after the damage repairs to that race car. He's 10 laps down, but just out there trying to fight for some points as some of these drivers keep on wrecking. He needs them wreck a little bit harder than they have been, though, to make up anything right there. But, you always got to respect the hustle, Dawson. Keep it grinding it out after you've had some instances. Him 10 laps down, Murray 12 laps down tonight. That's just that's a true race car driver mentality.
It's a long regular season until we get to Daytona on September 2nd to set the Impact Sim Designs Chase. So any points you can get, even on a night like this, are going to be valuable. Fully into the night now in Nashville. Coffee and Garcia on the front row. They await the green flag. It's back in the air. 95 to go. Coffee off and running from the outside of the front row. So testing the waters of an outside lane restart. Garcia forward to the second spot. Bowie will clear forward to third. Kyle Holden is all of a sudden fourth. And then it'll be Harper and Rogers battling for the fifth spot. Holden got a nice run there off turn 2. He may go after Bowie here by the time they get back down to turn 3.
Yeah, we'll see what they do here through 3 and 4. Right now, Bowie on that higher line, highest up on the racetrack. He's been the only one that can really make that work as well as he has so far tonight. We'll see if he has any run on his teammate there in the 8 of Garcia. He's got a nice still look here down the front straightaway as these cars zip on by. We'll get the same in the 1 and 2 as they fan out. A lot of different lines being utilized. Garcia lower in the 54, got some clean air there. Lets him get close to that back bumper. We'll see if he can do anything with it.
Not much better than race cars flying by the camera under the lights in a night race in Nashville. Coffee continues to lead, but for how long? Garcia took a shot at him right there in turn 1. Bowie trying to get to the back bumper of Garcia as they work back down the front straightaway. 93 to go. Again, as of now, a green flag pit stops in play. The amount of chaos that's happened tonight, unsure if we'll get to that point. On board with Garcia as he tries to poke a headlight out, get some clean air, and wrap the center of the corner and get back to Alex Coffey. Coffee turns to center really good right there through 1 and 2 and drives away by a couple of car lengths. Brandon Bowie watches from the popcorn seat. Holden 4th, Harper 5th. Rogers in a battle with Cox for the 6th spot. That battle wraps up. Now Cox and Fetterplace go back at one another for the 7th position off turn 4 as Kenny Reel looms behind that battle looking for a couple more spots as well.
Reel's really just hung around right there in the nice spot all night long. I don't feel like I've looked at the ticker and seen him much else around maybe 8th or 9th, 1 or 2 times. Big moment though. Johnny Shade almost wrecked behind these guys, was able to keep it going, but Reel now to the outside of Matt Cox looking to take that 8th position away right here. Cox is going to push up a little bit tight right there. We'll see what these guys do as they head off of turn number 4.
So again, I mention it every week, these red line cars, a couple of them gaining some serious speed. Kenny Reel, so impressive to watch the growth over the course of his first full-time season on Wednesday nights. Of course, ever since their teammate Cody Nagels went to victory lane at Talladega, it feels like those cars had just a little bit more jump underneath the hood when we get to the track every single week. Of course, Johnny Shade had that moment just a second ago. He's dropped from 10th to 15th on the scoring pylon as of right now, back behind of Chris Davis. Further towards the front, perhaps a battle brewing for the 4th spot. Timothy Harper's on his horse. He wants that spot from Kyle Holden just behind the leaders. Garcia continues to stalk Coffey for the lead. Harper stalking Holden and Bowie. Recovery try for Harper continues. Remember, that car was backed into the fence, right rear first in turn 1 earlier in the race, and now is recovered all the way to 5th as Matt Cox had a moment there in turn 1. He's dropped a little bit of track position as well.
Yeah, Harper actually was the incident where we had a little bit of an arc break, got hit pretty late at the wreck. Could have been a lot worse for him, but he's been able to repair that car and get back to the front here as he's fighting inside our top 5. But we'll take another onboard look here with the 8 of Garcia. I think he's faster than Coffey right now, Dawson, but the dirty air is just a little bit too much for him to surmount at the moment.
This has been a consistent storyline with Nico Garcia all season long that we have seen him in this series, and it takes me back to Kansas when he was just able to drive to the bottom of the racetrack on some of these mile-and-a-halves and turn through the center of the corner better than almost anybody on the racetrack, and I think that's what we're seeing again right now. He wrapped the bottom of turns 3 and 4 better than Alex Coffey was able to turn through the center of the corner right there. That's what's keeping him in this discussion for the race lead right now. They have dialed in center exit speed on that number 8 machine, and again, it's the story at the mile-and-a-half so far. He stays about a half car length off Coffey's bumper, so the pressure's on for the 54 of Alex Coffey. This time, Garcia to the outside, trying to poke a headlight right of Coffey. It does not work as well. He'll lose some ground, and Coffey with the briefest moment of breathing room. 87 to go at Nashville. Again, the battle for the lead continues, and look at how locked in Garcia is, trying to find any bit of grip he can. Now drives it deep on the second lane, so we're seeing the experimentation start for Garcia as he tries to get the lead.
A little bit of contact with the wall for Coffey. He's forcing that 54 to push right now. You can definitely see that Coffey isn't just riding in the lead. He's working really hard to maintain it, working that higher groove once again in the 8. I don't think that corner looks quite as clean as the others, and the results would show, but that does seem to be the case. He doesn't quite make as much time on the 54 right there. I think headlight left is usually a better bet than headlight right at a place like this, and that's what he gets right there for 1 and 2 as Coffey ran a little bit higher.
Downstairs to pit road as Garcia looks for the lead, a hit on Kenny Reel, the 99 car.
Yeah, guys, I just spoke with him about the comfortability and the difference between the seasons and being full-time, and he said that a lot of lap time. Guys over at R&R, that's what he gets.
Well, he's got a fast car tonight. Now he'll be challenged by Matt Cox here back to turn 1 for that 8th position. But Kenny Real has got a nice piece tonight. Again, another top 10 run eventually brewing for him in the 99 car. He loses that spot. We'll try to stay in front of Paul Gallimore as well. Again, 15th in points coming into tonight. A guy that is in position to make the chase. The season keeps going the way that it has been so far. Garcia's lost a little bit more ground on Alex Coffey in the lead. Bowie's actually starting to drift away from these two just a tad. He's now under attack from Kyle Holden for 3rd. As meanwhile, we watch on board with Chris Davis. That's the battle in front of him for the 12th spot. More on Nick King as Davis watches on. Again, passes continue to be at a premium all across this racetrack.
Yeah, it seems like we've seen the same really handful of groups of drivers battling each other all night long too. So these guys are pretty familiar with how each other's cars are handling at this point. And we're side by side for the lead though up here. Garcia's gotten to the inside of the 54 Coffey, not able to quite hold it there though off turn number 4. The 8 is definitely the faster race car of these two, but it's just so hard for him to make this pass. Coffey's one of the better defensive drivers I've ever seen on the service, and probably the best defensive driver in this league.
He's been doing it for a long time, has Alex Coffey, and continues to fend off Nico Garcia for the time being. Garcia runs second. He got to the inside there. These two shared a battle, by the way, just a little bit ago at the end of stage 2. Now they will share one again, potentially for the victory tonight in Nashville. 82 to go with the line lap. 119 goes on the board. Coffey, Garcia, Bowie, Holden, Harper, your top 5. Rogers, Federer Place, Cox, Real, and Gallimore. The rest of the top 10, not a ton of movement inside the top 10 in terms of guys flopping positions. As of now, almost a spinner. That's Gallimore halfway back in the top 10. He gets sideways, gets it saved. He'll lose some spots, but save the race car.
He does a good job right there to hold on the VAT right now, so we're going to be on board with him. He sees on the inside there the 87 of Davis. Going to lose that spot out possibly here as they head down into 1 and 2. That's the 18 right there of Wilson behind him as well. We'll see if Blaine Wilson can try to pounce on this, as the 11's tires are going to be a little bit upset right now and maybe not quite handling just how he would like. When we look back once again off the back bumper of the 54 of Alex Coffey, the 8 has hounded him lap after lap, and this is just what makes Coffey so good, is he just doesn't seem to feel the pressure no matter what the situation is with the car behind him.
Cold-blooded is the 2025 Moonshiners Racing League OB Builders Cup Series champion in Alex Coffey. Of course, Garcia now trying to make everything happen that he can. And something interesting that I've noticed in this battle, we'll see if this happens again down here into turn 3. Coffey will not run all the way to the yellow paint. This time he does, but he leaves about 1.5 foot of gap. He did not that time around, but last time he'll leave that headlight open for Garcia to poke his left front down into that clean air. And you talked about it a moment ago, Jeremy. Headlight left tends to be the better of the two in this Gen 7 race car in terms of getting out of the dirty air. Now Coffey has started to pull some aero tricks, if you will, at the front of the field. But for a moment there, he was almost allowing Garcia to stay close and run the line that he wanted to right down on the paint.
Take a look right there, 97, Kyle Holden off the back bumper of him right now. He has moved around the 51 of Bowie, so we'll see if he'll be able to close in on our leaders of Garcia and Coffey. I will say, Dawson, this is about the point in the run where if you're Nico Garcia, your almost optimism, I guess is the word I'll use, for your pace and how you feel compared to the leader is starting to boil over in the frustration due to the lack of the ability to make the pass so far.
I'm curious when Kyle Holden gets to this battle, if he gets to it first of all, but when he gets to this battle, where will he go and how fast will that car be in the direct dirty air of those cars? Because he drove right up the back of Brandon Bowie and made that pass and got right to 3rd position. So I'm curious to see if he can perhaps play spoiler to these two at the front of the field. We thought it was mano-a-mano up here. Rather, it is going to be a 3-way potential battle for the win, and in fact, it could be 4. Here comes Timothy Harper. He gets to the right rear of Bowie. He wants a spot off too. Tim Harper, it was not the start of the night that he wanted. Between the qualifying effort and the early struggles, he's driven into the top 4 as he looks potentially for a trip, if not on the podium, to Victory Designs Victory Lane.
Yeah, great job right there by Harper through 1 and 2. A really aggressive move to get the right rear vat late. If Bowie doesn't respect that space, it could lead to an incident. Brandon Bowie, though, obviously a seasoned veteran, former sim racing pro. very wise not to do that right there, and lets the 23 on by, but Garcia got really high and tight right there. That almost was a big smack to the outside wall, but he did a good job of keeping it off of it.
Dirty air providing frustration for Garcia, and again, it happened right there. Coffee not quite getting down to the paint. He's been running about a 1.5 to 2 feet off of it, and that's allowing Nico Garcia to keep that left headlight out in clean air and wrap the center of the corner and stay close to this battle. So for the time being, Garcia is able to run the line that he wants to without much impact from dirty air, at least as of the time of right now. Now he's lost a couple of hundreds here on this lap. It's down to about a 2.5 car length lead as Coffee gets a little bit of breathing room. But again, Garcia able to stay close. Coffee not fully blocking off the air in front of that arrow entry. Further back, Matt Cox on Brandon Fetterplace. This is for 7th. Again, Cox has just not been able to recover back into the top 4. We lost spots on pit road at the end of stage 2, but now another spot in the right direction for that 0 as he works on Fetterplace for 7th and will likely complete the pass here off turn 2. Fetterplace trying to stay alongside, can't do it, tucks in line. To move Cox back to 7th. Next up is his teammate, Sean Rogers, as that newly rebranded 0 continues to try to work on that. Meanwhile, this is the battle for 9th. Owens with some late race speed as he has caught Kenny Reel.
Yeah, Owens doing a good job right now in that 30 car. He's working on that back bumper of the 99, both these precision-sponsored machines, but they are not teammates. Right now trying to work in a little bit further. You see Fetterplace up there in front of these guys too. He's kind of stalled out in that 8th position right now. Another wall smack right there for the 99 of Reel. That right rear seems to slap the fence a lot in this next gen. Guys just get a little bit free as they get to the straightaway, and the car is so strong that it can handle it. You just see that happen lap after lap with these races ever since this generation of race cars really come to be the platform.
Definitely been a struggle tonight as guys have been free both on entry and on exit here at Nashville. Coffee has opened up about an 8-car length lead now on Nico Garcia, who is starting to fade just a little bit here with 72 laps to go. There's a battle brewing for 3rd, and perhaps the guy at the fastest pace on track right now is Timothy Harper. In fact, last time by, half a tenth quicker than the leaders was the 23 of Tim Harper. So all of a sudden, Harper in the driver's seat perhaps not only make a move on Holden, but maybe even get into this conversation for the lead. That time, the lap times plateau out just a little bit. But for Harper, he is trying to get on the charge. He does not have a ton of time, though, until we get into the green flag pit stop range. I did not know if we'd talk about it tonight. We have to start considering the range is 65 laps. We'd be to that range right around lap 160 of this race, about 30 laps from now.
We're doing a good job right now working towards that number. I know we were looking like we might not see those green flag stops, but trending in the right direction so far here. You see Rogers there up in front of Fetterplace. Rogers pokes his nose into the top 5 for a little bit at the beginning of this run, but hasn't quite been able to maintain that pace as these two have settled in here in the 7th and 8th positions, but they're not really out of the picture. I mean, they're not really too far back, only 2.5 seconds off of our leader. Still a lot of time to make up that type of gap. On board back here, Chris Davis. See Nick King way up the racetrack up there in front of him in 11th, but that looks like he's running out there on purpose, Dawson. He got a really good run out of that corner.
I've seen a few cars start to experiment running a little higher up the racetrack. This track has been mostly one groove most of the night, but as it is cooled off into the night, as the sun goes down, the lights come on, a little bit more grip is going to be available to these drivers a little bit higher up the racetrack, 2 to 3 lanes. So Nick King obviously going a little bit extreme on that line, but for him running up there is a little bit more grip available now than there was early in the going of this race. Alex Coffey continuing to lead, just 68 laps to go. This 3rd stage is moving along really quickly as his lead is 0.4 of a second over Nico Garcia, although now Garcia is starting to fall to the clutches of Holden and Harper, potentially for a 3-way battle there. A little further back, here's the battle between Rogers and Fetterplace. This is for 7th. As Fetterplace on the inside, Rogers on the outside. Reel watching from behind them. Off turn 4, both those cars working over the bumps there on exit. Rogers alongside for 7th, plus 25, by the way, from where he started earlier tonight in 32nd for that BMP entry, but Fetterplace fights back on the inside.
Tight moment right here off of the corner. We're going to do a good job keeping it down. Fetterplace always very calm, cool, and collected in those moments. Not usually the guy to step over the line and make the contact with the other car to his outside. So once again, does a good job of that right there. But they're going to continue to fight side by side still for the 7th position. They're both pushing each other to their limits right now, and that's going to hurt their tires. Each lap you're side by side with this is going to hurt you more and more throughout the course of the run, and they still got a good bit to go until they really can hit that pit window.
Again, about 160 is where I anticipate these drivers can go on fuel with 100% fuel load on board these Gen 7 cars, as Feder Place will tuck in line behind Rogers for the time being, right in front of Kenny Reel and William Owens. Reel has pulled about 5 car lengths on that battle, by the way. Back here to the continuing battle for the 11th spot. Moore on the inside, King on the outside. Now, the outside line did not work how King wanted it to. He'll stay alongside here. But now he'll be attacked by Davis. Moore to 11th. Davis wants 12th as this battle continues back outside the top 10. King working up the racetrack. It was working a moment ago. It does not appear to have the same success now.
Still fading a little bit. I think he worked his tires a little bit too hard on that higher lane. Might not have been the best decision for the longevity of these Goodyear Eagles. He'll settle into the 13th position right now, but Wilson's going to quickly try to make that 14th for Nick King as he's looking for a way around that 12. Not quite able to materialize anything just yet, but you see Greg Carr also in behind them. So Nick King looking like he might go for a bit of a free fall here if he can't start to level out this pace.
He really was trying to make that gamble from earlier in the race work, and for a while it did, but now going the wrong way was the 12 of Nick King. You're on board with Greg Carr. He has been running right around the 15th position. Would like to pick up a couple of more spots, keep up with some of the guys around him in the point standings who run just in front of him on the racetrack right now. King loses another spot, that one to Wilson. That was for the 13th position, and now Carr will attack potentially for the 14th spot, although King works underneath Wilson, trying to get the 13th position back. These guys are a little ways away, by the way, from the next cars back in Gallimore and company. It's back through turns 3 and 4. Trevor Osmernoff, by the way, made a trip to pit road, as did Caden Norfray. So a couple of cars down on pit road here on lap 139. This would be the opening of the fuel window, about 65 laps. I anticipated these guys would run the tanks dry, at least closer to lap 160, but a couple of drivers perhaps wanting to go with the early strategy here, although Osmernoff continues to sit on pit road, which tells me that stop was unscheduled.
Just don't think the undercut would be the play to make here. Typically an overcut racetrack, but the next gen plays tricks on us from time to time and can kind of throw strategy backwards on the head. Really just depends on the night. Now I'm gonna say something that might sound absolutely crazy here, Dawson, but if you run this tank dry, 2 tires could be viable. It is weirdly fast here, and you'd cut a lot of time out of that stop and really minimize the amount of time you're losing throughout the cycle.
The question would then be how many drivers have done their homework through this week and know that is the case as we get ready for this final pit stop of the night. How many guys are going to come down and gamble on it, knowing that it could be faster? It does save you 5-6 seconds on pit road to not put left side tires on this car. So how many guys know that? How many guys are none the wiser are going to come down and take 4 on this pit stop, fill the tank up, and perhaps lose time and lose the race? Big move on the outside. How about it for the boss man, Barry Sanders, as he tries to work back inside the top 15. He'll get a spot here on Paul Gallimore. So for Sanders, he continues to try to work up towards the top 10. Could really use a top 10 finish tonight in Nashville to stay in, again, on pace. The guys right down around the cut line. Car coming to pit road. It is Gallimore in the 11, so an early stop. 59 to go, and Gallimore, one of the first of the lead group to pit.
See how this works out for Gallimore. Obviously can't afford to make any mistakes on pit road too. Not the easiest track to get down on the pit road, definitely far from the most difficult. A bit of a danger zone though. You do have to do a lot of your braking in the banking, so if somebody isn't expecting you to come down pit road, they could end up running you over if you don't call that out. So one of the more important tracks to make sure you let everybody know around you that you are going to be pitting. On board here, Kyle Holden, he started to slowly close in on that 8 car. Nico Garcia just ever so bit more. Tim Harper behind him also maintaining pace. These 4 have really separated themselves. Bowie's fallen a little bit back there in 5th, and he's at the same time pulling away from Sean Rogers there in 6th. So got about a 4-car battle for the win right now materializing if this continues to trend green.
Couple of more cars on pit road. Matt Cox has made an early pit stop. Vincent's made an early pit stop. So a couple more cars Coming down pit road, so the BMP strategy is the undercut. As you talked about a little while ago, Jeremy, did not think that was the play. They obviously figured they had to do something different to get in position for the win. They go off cycle with just 57 to go and all come to pit road relatively at the same time. Coffee continues to lead. Again, we talked about that battle behind him starting to brew for second. Garcia continues to fade off just the slightest bit from the leader, Coffee. Holden on the attack, Harper on the attack. Brandon Bowie has dropped a second on these guys, by the way, so the speed has gone away a little bit on board the points leader, but he continues to run up in the 5th spot, 2 seconds ahead of Sean Rogers. Then it's Fender Place, Real Owens and Corey Moore, who now make up the top 10. A couple more spots on the table potentially for the boss man, Barry Sanders. He'll look to the inside of Nick King here. He could get as high as 13th, as now one of the top 5 comes to pit road. It's the first dig entry on the pit lane. Timothy Harper dives off the pit lane with 55 to go.
See what the 23 Harper is able to do executing this pit stop. He was in our lead group, so he will cycle out to the lead in all likelihood when he comes off of pit road and all the cycle runs through. He comes down to his box right now, needs to be good right here. Can't overshoot and have to back up. Didn't appear like he had any issues. Right sides are up on that 23 of Harper as we get a nice look here down pit road. Back on the live action on the track, Garcia continues to roll around here in second. He has started to lose time to Coffee though. I think it's time to maybe start thinking about pitting for that 8. You can't afford to bleed too much here, especially if Holden gets to your back bumper.
Notably, Timothy Harper did take 4 tires on that stop. So for Harper, he does not choose to gamble with 2 right sides. He chooses to go with a full set of 4. See how that affects him once it cycles through. Downstairs to pit level, Cody Manto, what are you hearing about the top 5 of the pit strategy?
Just the pit strategy. Quick update on you guys for that. It seems like a lot of these drivers are just going to go till they run out, but they got about 10 to 15 laps left. Back to you guys.
He's going to run around that 160 number, although multiple have gone for the undercut. Matt Mackin's on pit road, and so is the points leader, Brandon Bowie, who will bring his 51 down the pit lane here with just 53 laps to go at Nashville. He'll come all the way down to his first pit stall. And what's the call for Bowie here on pit road? As the leaders work off turn 4, up on the jack for right sides. Down off the jack, does he go 2 or 4? He will stay in the box. No, he will not. The first driver to go with 2 is the points leader, Brandon Bowie.
Brandon Bowie knows ball, and he just showed it right there. That is the right call, in my opinion, here. It is just so weird at this racetrack, but we talked about it pre-race, Dawson. It works, and we'll see if Bowie can go ahead and show that is the truth. We've been sitting here talking about him while he's running P5 as if it's an off day, which just shows how impressive he's been all season long, but he just made the call that might be able to recover this into yet another victory if it works out for him.
As dominant as ever in 2026 is Brandon Bowie. Rogers, Real, King all on pit road here with 51 to go. Back downstairs again we go to Cody Vanta. What are you hearing on the 51 of Brandon Bowie?
Just give an update on the 51. Looks like he took only rights there, so he's just trying to be quick with that pit stop, guys. Back to you.
We talked about it again, Jeremy, pre-race. Right side tires may be the call on that last pit stop to try to get out front now. The question becomes how many of the leaders are aware of this along with Brandon Bowie, and how many are going to take right sides on the stop to even up with him. So we'll see on this last pit stop. Do any of the other leaders no ball? As Jeremy Miller just said a moment ago with Brandon Bowie, Coffee, Garcia, Holden have a big buffer, by the way, 5 seconds back to Brandon Fetterplace, so some room to work for our top 3 right now. And speaking of, here come the top 2. Garcia, hot on pit entry. Does he get it down to speed? That's going to be close.
Watching his facial expressions here, don't see any anger or disgust, so that would tell me that he thinks he's fine, or at least hasn't seen a black flag pop up just yet. Battery's just really nonchalant about it, but that's a really big deal for Coffee right here, though, because stuck on the outside of the H is going to disturb getting into his pit box just a little bit, but it didn't really do anything too much to Coffee there. But a absolutely incredible pit entrance there for V8. I'm personally hoping both these guys take 4 so we can see how the 2 tires works out for Bowie in comparison, and it's looking like they both are going to.
Garcia up on the jacks is going to take 4. Teammates going opposite ways. Coffee did as well. So a pair of cars going with 4 tires there. Johnny Shade was on pit road. Brandon Fetterplace comes down this time by as we're past the 50 to go mark. Bowie has cycled in front of them, and it's game on now. Do the 2 tires work? In fact, these guys will cycle back behind Cox and Timothy Harper as well, as Coffee blends right in front of Cox Coffee may be a little bit better off than Garcia was, as more drivers on pit road, Holden, Owens, and others with 47 to go.
And we're going to have to keep an eye on the lap times between those guys and Bowie too, just to see what those tires are doing as a difference. Got to remember those guys are on cold tires right now too. Bowie's got some heat in these already. They're primed and ready to go on the right side as Chris Davis lets him go without any fight. A little bit of courtesy shown there to our points leader. Right now we're on board with Nico Garcia. He's going to be trying to pass Harper, but remember, Harper's on 4 tires just like these guys, and they're not that much older. This could really hold him up right now. Coffee, fortunately for Coffee, he got in front of this battle. Garcia in the right rear of Harper. They keep it straight.
That would not have been what Brandon Bowie wanted to see right there. In the 51 would have been a caution flag after that call to go for 2 tires as Garcia and Harper come together off turn 4. Garcia passed Harper, Garcia passed Cox. The 8 car's on rails, but can he get back to Alex Coffey? And can both of them get back to Brandon Bowie, who's on 2 tires? Note on the drivers who have yet to pit. Moore, Davis, Carr, Wilson, Sanders, Sanchez, Hochschild, Medina are the ones that have not yet come to pit road as of last lap. By the way, 3/10 the difference, 27 100ths to be exact. The difference between Coffey and Bowie, the 54 is faster, but he's got to make up a 2+ second deficit rather between the 2 cars. So we'll keep an eye on that interval. You can see the 51 up ahead of Alex Coffey as he tries to make quick work of the lap cars and get back to the 2 tires on Bowie.
Definitely, obviously, a little bit of a traffic factor at play here. Also need to remember the 54 has been a stronger car than the 51 all night. Bowie was over 2 seconds behind when he made that stop. So all things that will contribute to this battle as we go here. 4 tires on a faster race car versus 2 tires on a car that wasn't handling quite as well. We'll see how that plays out. Over 40 laps to go. It's not as big of a gap as I think Bowie would have hoped for. I think he might have just been too far back to really make this work as efficiently as it could have if he was in that battle for the lead.
Those left side tires will really start to go away here as this run moves on and Bowie tries to push. It's fast, but not fast for an entire run, and as early as those guys pit, will it pan out? Bowie's driven back past the leader, Corey Moore, so he's unlapped himself. 10.5 difference there, so the gap between the 2 in lap times is starting to fall off just a little bit. Bowie running 30.35s, Coffey ran a 30.29, so those 2 cars not too much separated there, although Coffey is in some heavier traffic than Bowie has been running in on this run. 42 to go at the line for Corey Moore, who continues to technically be the leader. Again, 8 cars have yet to come down pit road at this point, with 42 to go, hoping for a caution at this point. They include the boss man's Barry Sanders. He runs 4th as they run right now, but hoping, obviously, that this thing ends in a caution flag, or you can run the backside of this run and perhaps get some fresher tires and gain a few spots late in this one. So again, 8 cars have yet to pit. We continue to watch the interval between Bowie and Coffey. Last time, another 10.5 picked up by the 54.
Coffey crosses the line again. That time, Bowie ran a 34 in front of him. Coffey ran a 37, so that time in favor of the 51. I mean, the 2 tires are definitely not a disadvantage, I would say, Dawson, but I just feel like the 54 is enough better of a race car, but over the course of this 40 laps, he should be able to recover this gap.
Well, it's something that I'm not sure either of us were quite aware of watching the lap times as Nico Garcia has run down Alex Coffey. Corey Moore's coming to pit road. Bowie got out of the groove right there. But as we've watched Coffey and Bowie's lap times, Nico Garcia is driven to the back bumper of Alex Coffey and puts some pressure on him now into turn 1. And that is going to help Brandon Bowie in the fact that these 2 are going to go to battle for the provisional 2nd spot. Garcia on the inside, Coffey on the outside. These 2 going for, again, what would be 2nd on the racetrack. Garcia's car, something dialed in on this last pit stop. He ran down Coffey, tries to get 2nd, but this is allowing Brandon Bowie to try to drive away. Big slide there off turn 4. Bowie, or rather, Garcia gets out of it just a little bit, somehow slid and stayed alongside Coffey. Those 2 going to war for the provisional 2nd spot.
Bowie actually having some problems of his own in front of these guys as they continue to battle. Hard contact into the left rear with the 8 of Garcia and the 54 of Coffey. They're still going to be fighting side by side in the turn 3 here. Garcia drives it deep, not quite going to clear Coffey just yet. The 54 will continue to battle side by side down the front straightaway. You see in that shot there, Bowie has the 78 in front of him, came out with fresh tires, but doesn't have the pace to drive away. That is hurting the 51's lap times. He's not really pulling away while they battle side by side hard for 2nd. Or relative, I should say.
I was just going to say the lap times are not working in the favor of Brandon Bowie. These guys are side by side and still running him down from what would be second and third. It's currently actually eighth and ninth on the racetrack. Has 6 cars have yet to come to pit road, although that will change here. Greg Carr dives off the racetrack, so now 5 cars left on the racetrack. More contact. Garcia and Coffey. Again, they get together. Garcia again will dive down to the inside of turn number 1 as these two continue to try to run down Brandon Bowie, but focusing so much on each other that the time has plateaued between these 2 cars and the back of the Bowie machine. Now again, settling in about 1.2 seconds, but they can see him. No more traffic between these 2 and the Bowie machine, and as Coffey clears him, he can go back to focus about the lap times. And perhaps is Bowie turning the car off? Did he pit a little too early?
That, or did he short fuel it too much, trying to avoid the second can and save time on the stop, and doesn't have enough to go to the end? If that's the case, 2 tires was not the call to make for that machine, because it is not worth having to save fuel on the backside of a run with a tire disadvantage in any situation.
The gap down to just 0.8 of a second between the back end of Brandon Bowie and the front bumper of Alex Coffey's Dig Esports Camry. This could quickly become a 3-way battle for the win in Music City. Garcia again to the inside of Coffey. 36 to go. Another deep drive to turn 1. They can see the lead just in front of them. 0.7 of a second, by the way. For our pit reporter downstairs, Chris Davis, coming up on his pit lap. About 5 laps of fuel left in that arrow entry number 87 up at the front. 3 cars have yet to pit. Davis, Sanders, and Sanchez, 1, 2, and 3. They have about a 16-second gap from them to, Jose Medina. So 4 cars have yet to pit. More contact off turn 4. Again, these 2 come together, trading paint. By the time this race is over, the left and right sides of those cars are going to be the color of the opposite one when they get to the checkered flag. Garcia knocks the apron up into Coffey. This is going to cost them some time on Brandon Bowie, who has pulled just a little bit. But in the meantime, he is also trying to save fuel, it appears. Perhaps you're right, Jeremy. I think he shorted the fuel tank just a little bit.
I just don't agree with that decision. If that was going to be the case, I would have taken 4 every time. It's not ever a good choice to have to do that. It doesn't look like he's been saving these. Well, yeah, definitely clutching right there. You can see it in the RPMs and hear it as well. So he is definitely saving a little bit of fuel here. I just don't know if that was the right choice to short the fuel tank for 2 tires. You're at a tire disadvantage and you're having to save fuel. That's not going to work in your favor.
Davis is on pit road. He has ceded the lead to Barry Sanders with 33 laps to go. He, Mark Sanchez, and Jose Medina are the 3 cars that have yet to come to the pit lane at this point on this cycle. Garcia falling off just a little bit. You saw him catch the lap car of Matt Mackin at a bad spot there a couple of laps ago. He fell just off the back bumper of Alex Coffey, although now he is driven right back up. They are closing on Brandon Bowie. So now all of a sudden it's game on, and we don't know if Brandon Bowie can make it to the end. We know it's close, but as he saves, all he's allowing these 2 behind him to do is get into the battle for the win. Eventually he'll have to push, but when is that number? 31 to go. When these guys get there, Bowie will have to put the throttle down. Can he save enough before then?
Well, and the other question, too, is while Bowie is saving this fuel, clutching and coasting into the corner, take some rotation out of those rear tires, obviously, as you don't have the engine putting any torque into them even while decelerating. That'll start to wear your right front out even more. Bowie looked like he's been struggling tight a lot of the night. This is only going to make his car tighter, and with having a disadvantage on the left side tires on top of that, I just don't see this possibly working out in his favor with this many laps left.
Hearing that Barry Sanders has about 6 laps left in the fuel tank for him, so he can go just inside of 25 laps to go before he has to come down pit road and cede his chance at a miracle here with a caution inside of 30 laps to go. He is the leader right now. Mark Sanchez continues to stay out, as does Jose Medina, who is only about 3 seconds in front of this battle for the lead and potentially the win. Coffey and Garcia are there. 3-way battle for what could be the victory at Nashville. It's a 5-car length lead for Bowie back to turn 1. Now Coffey leans to the inside, has to get out of the dirty air. Advantage Garcia as he'll have the best run of the 3 here off turn 2.
Does a good job right there, just into the wall a little bit. Bowie now obviously going to have to defend with everything he has left in that race car. the Wayne Bowen machine in the 78 still giving that 51 issues. He's on fresher tires, keying out a bit after these guys. He's just not having the pace to drive away with those fresher tires, but because they're fresher, he has the pace to stay in front of them. This is just the worst case scenario for Bowie not to have the clean air to work with.
Keep in mind, the longer that Brandon Bowie can hold on to the lead and keep these guys behind him and play defense, Kyle Holden is not out of this thing yet. He's only a second behind Nico Garcia. This could become a 4-car battle, if not 5. To the inside, big dive for Coffee. May have been a little bit of contact. 3 wide with the lap car of Bowen. Bowie trying to hold on for dear life to the race lead. Garcia gets caught behind Bowen. Drag race for the lead. 28 to go, or what we assume to be the lead. Back to turn 1. Coffee on the inside. Bowie with a defensive line on the outside. Coffee turns through the center. Bowie trying to get that car to grip up, trying to grab on exit. Garcia gets the wall. Big slide for the 8 through the grass. He does some landscaping, comes back up, gets back into turn 3, but the focus continues to be up front. Contact perhaps between 51 and 54. A classic battle for the lead between two of the best in the business.
Coffee's going to work hard into the corner again here. Bowie gives him a little more space this time. Coffee's going to slide up into that just a little bit, take advantage of it. Bowie had a really good corner right there. Bill has some momentum headed down the back straightaway. Coffee's going to have to slide up and behind him and concede for now. Bowie maintains the defensive position.
Kyle Holden is coming. He's half a second on the back bumper of Alex Coffey. He's going to try to steal one. Timothy Harper's not out of the realm of possibility either. He is about 7/10 back of Holden. 26 to go. Again, Sanchez and Medina have not yet pit. Barry Sanders has ceded the lead. He's come to pit road. Medina is only a second in front of Bowie. That plays into this as well. How hard does Medina run these guys when they get to him in a couple of laps' time? Sanchez continues to lead the race, but he does have to pit, as does Medina. Coffey trying to set up a pass. Kyle Holden, in the meantime, has gained on both of these cars. He has come into this battle. Harper, meanwhile, trying to get by the lap car of Bowen. Several other players could be in the battle for the win as Coffey runs down Bowie again in 1.
Bowie really hoping the 24 pits for his final stop soon here. Oh, almost some contact there to the rear bumper. Might have been. Couldn't really quite tell at that angle. They're side by side once again. I'm hearing Medina's pitting this time. That could throw another wrinkle into it as the leaders are side by side. Coffey's going to force Bowie up the racetrack running the middle because of that.
Blunt force for Coffey on Bowie gets the job done for now. Coffey to the lead. Bowie will have one opportunity to get back at him as Kyle Holden rolls into this battle, hoping that these two get into it. Bowie trying to give the bumper back in turn 1. Perhaps it doesn't work, and Coffey drives away with second for the time being as Bowie tried to get back to Coffey and give him a little bit of, shall we say, retaliation for the move just a moment ago. The blunt force there into turn 3, so Coffey away with the lead for now. Holden, though, has he saved enough tire to potentially get past both of these cars? Coffey trying to be on offense, Bowie trying to be on defense. Holden to the inside of Bowie. This is for provisional second, and as Coffey takes away the provisional lead, what does Kyle Holden have for car 54?
Looks like Bowie might be going into a massive fuel conservation mode after he lost that track position. See what Holden can do coming up on Coffey. I believe the lap car in front of these two is pitting this time by, which is why you see Coffey so high up on the racetrack there. Doesn't really affect his lap too much. Holden's going to get the fence right there just a little bit. You can see that all the way up off the corner. Just didn't quite hit the angle he was looking for. But none the issue for him as he continues to try to chase down that 54. They have now assumed the actual race lead. Bowie's around. We have a caution.
Wow, Brandon Bowie crashes in turn 1 just behind the race leaders as he was in fuel conservation mode. He'll lose all of his track position and have to come down pit road as well as the 10th caution flag's going to send us into some late race chaos. This was just behind the race leaders. Brandon Bowie went into turn 1, got on the brakes. We saw him in fuel conservation mode. And boy, oh boy, it's arrow-on-arrow violence. Garcia into the back of Bowie and sends the 51 around to draw the caution flag.
Bowie was just really off the pace right here entering this corner, trying to save that fuel, and kind of just turned down on his teammate. I think Garcia was in there a little bit deep at the same time, but just unfortunate for Bowie. I think the fuel was just really too much for him to be able to save and maintain that pace, but I think he definitely did show just how strong two tires can be, and why I say that is I do believe the winning move under Visiello could be a two-tire call for one of those guys who took 4 green flag stops.
So buoy around. The 10th caution of the night involves one of the best cars on the racetrack, and he will now lose a ton of track position. He'll need some chaos now. And the question turns to pit road, the money stop at Nashville. First of all, who comes down pit road? And of the guys who do, who takes 4 and who takes 2? Coffee draws the leaders down. Most of them will come to pit road. It looks like it's all of them. As of right now, nobody choosing to stay out and gamble on that front. Everyone will come down pit road that's on the lead lap, except for a couple. Mark Sanchez and Barry Sanders, who just came down pit road, choosing to stay out and inherit the race lead.
Yeah, really fortunate timed caution for those two, especially Mark Sanchez. I mean, that was like as perfect as it ever could have been from a 29, so we'll see what he can do. See right sides up on all these machines. We'll see what happens when that track drops. It looks like Harper took 2, Coffee took 2, Holden took 2, Garcia took 2, Cox took 2, a lot of 2-tire stops.
Curious, with the run still being 26 laps to the end, how many guys that took 2 will regret it after about 10. We saw that Bowie got a little bit less on the pace as those 2 tires went on. Before we go back green, he just inherited the lead under the caution flag. The boss man, Barry Sanders, all of a sudden in a great position. Barry, 26 to go. You just came down pit road. What's going through your mind right now as we get ready for a late restart?
Don't mess it up. No, I don't know, man. I'm just trying to give ourselves a shot. It's probably not the best decision in the world, but running 20th isn't either. So just try to be in a position to win one. You never know what can happen. Maybe chaos kicks off and we're there at the end. I don't know. Got to do something a little bit different. Haven't ran very well all night, so just trying to put ourselves in position to do some good.
Obviously, one of the last cars to pit. Seemed like a no-brainer to get the track position back. Obviously, a restart coming up. We've seen these be chaotic all night. What's the game plan to try to put yourself in victory lane and potentially get your first win of the season?
Well, I got to hold off some hungry, really good drivers, man. So I don't know. We're just going to try to see what happens here. Try to keep it out front. See what ends up. See where we end up. That's all I can say at this moment.
Inside of 25 to go. Chaotic restart coming up. We'll let you get back to work with your team. Barry, thanks for the time. Good luck the rest of the way here at Nashville.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
So for the 88 of Barry Sanders and for Mark Sanchez to his outside, all of a sudden a golden opportunity here inside of 25 to go. Potentially get in position for a victory. At least the top 5 cars off pit road took 2. Coffee, Holden, Harper, Garcia, and Cox all went 2 tires there. Beyond that, we did have some drivers take 4 further back behind the top 10. We'll see how that turns out. Still a little ways to go here. It's not a super late restart. Take one more look at the Van Lille's onboard cameras. Drivers gearing up for late race chaos in Music City. Sanders, Sanchez on the front row. A very pit strategies behind them. Green flag back in the air. Sanders goes. Sanchez does not. Coffee to the races. Harper behind him. Garcia as Holden tried to squeeze through the middle going to turn 1.
Really big break for Coffee right there. Some of his competition gets pinned in behind Sanchez, who failed to launch right there on the outside lane. Sanders is going to try to hold on to that lead. His tire's a little bit older, though. He ran about 4 or 5 laps under green before that yellow came out. We'll see how much of an effect that has on the 88 machine. They're 4 wide in the back. Oh my goodness, how did they get out of that alive? They didn't get out of it alive.
They did not. Matt Cox through the grass in the 00 as he gets sandwiched off turn 4. William Owens is involved in car number 30. Other cars, Sanchez is in it as well. It will not trigger the caution as those cars get back on track. Up front battle for the lead. Coffee to the inside of Sanders. He'll get to the front. Timothy Harper all of a sudden on the doorstep. Harper wants a win. Coffee wants a win. Sanders wants a win. And behind them, it's Garcia and Holden going at it for the 4th spot off turn 4. Coffee loves what he's seeing right now. Sanders holding up Harper, and Coffee looks to set sail and get to victory lane.
Holden here on board. See Nico Garcia there on the inside of going to get clear right now. Sorry about that. Holden looking to the inside of Sanders right now for the 4th position. He's got to get this pass done quickly. He's going to maintain with those guys in front of him. It looks like he's going to be able to do so. Not quite. Sanders going to charge back on the right rear of the 97. Garcia drives all the way to the back bumper, and Harper puts him in the fence with a bump off of turn 4. They'll be 3 wide there behind Harper. Holden's going to take advantage of all of them possibly here in the turn 1.
That's a dream right there for Alex Coffey as he watches this happen in the rearview mirror. Holden to the inside, gets 2 for 1 on Sanders and Garcia as the best battle on the racetrack is for second as Coffey drives into the sunset. Garcia back to the inside of Sanders. He'll try to get back to Harper. I was going to say, if he got around Harper right there, we could be in for a classic if he's able to get back to Alex Coffey. Oh, trouble! Harper gets turned. Holden into Garcia. The big one strikes on the front stretch. Multiple leaders involved. Holden, Garcia comes spinning to a stop. Sanders involved. It's an aero disaster here on the front stretch with 15 to go.
All of our contenders minus Alex Coffey just got swept up. And I mean, look at the track behind him. That's Chris Davis and Corey Moore that come out of it in second and third, Dawson.
A big shuffle at the front of the field as multiple cars end up involved in this that were running inside the top 5. It was in that battle for second that we had just noted a second ago was so chaotic a moment ago on the last lap around the racetrack. Back to the Top Off Hot Sauce Company replay. And when this one started, I obviously thought it was going to be a lot bigger than it was as Holden gets to the outside, or rather around Harper, and it is on from there. This was a considerable incident for it being at the front of the field. Let's see what happened here off turn 4. Harper gets tight, center of the corner. Holden gets to him as Garcia gets to Holden. First contact is Holden into Harper. Both those cars get sideways. Garcia nowhere for him to go except around. Sanders is in it. Harper is in it. Multiple other cars get damaged in this as well as they tried to slow up. Davis gets a piece of it. I think Fetter Place might have been in it as well. You're on board with Kenny Reel, who's one of the luckiest guys in virtual Nashville. Watch this kick up in front of him.
You might have got a pretty big dent in the front bumper there, though, Dawson, with that one. Yeah, right there you see the center nose pushed in right there, but relatively unscathed when you consider everything he was trying to get through. Taking a look at it here, I mean, Harper just got really tired there. He checked out really hard and led the bat, and just nowhere to go for Sanders. Gets stuck there on the 88.
Rogers is in it. I thought it was Fetter Place. It was Rogers. It was the other car in that one in car 44. And for real, you're right. Some center nose damage. I think the best part is he hit as square as he possibly could on the back of the Rogers machine. So we'll see what that does to impact his race car. You're on board with Greg Carr again as this gets started on the front stretch. Goodness, how did Greg Carr keep it off Kenny Reel right there? That's a big deal, by the way, for Greg Carr and for a couple of others that were running back in that area. Nick King, Johnny Shade, Blaine Wilson, all going to come out with a big-time benefit out of this. I'll tell you what, though, Jeremy, the number one beneficiary out of that, I think, Brandon Bowie is P6 here. Now, it's going to take a couple of more restarts potentially to get into the fight for the lead, but he could seriously be in a good spot to really benefit off of that two-tire gamble a little bit ago and then the spin on our last caution.
Well, another extraordinarily lucky driver in this situation is actually the 23 Timothy Harper. I know he's the one that spurred that and spun out right there, but Harper was able to go ahead and keep it straight on the infield right there and didn't go around, got all his track position back. So we'll see what that is able to develop into for him.
Tough break for Harper turns into a good break as he'll get to start on the inside of row number 1. Again, appreciate you joining us for the ICON Apparel Co. 266 at Nashville, as now we are into the late race restart territory where things are going to get wild. You saw a moment ago, driver's not willing to lift out of the throttle as we get ready to go with inside of 15 to go. Now there's really all take and no give here at the front of the field. And again, it's a bit of a shake-up in the contenders. Alex Coffey still the leader. Timothy Harper will restart to his left elbow in second. Then it's Brandon Fetterplace and Corey Moore on row 2. Moore is the highest he's run since stage 1. Sean Rogers and Brandon Bowie back on row 3. Kenny Reel, Greg Carr, Johnny Shade, and Nick King make up the rest of the top 10. And oh, by the way, Blake Hochschild spun twice tonight. He scored in 11th as we get ready to go back under the green flag. Jose Medina in 13th. A couple of cars that have had some tough moments tonight are very much in the conversation for good finishes as we get ready to go green. 11 laps to go. Alex Coffey brings the field into the Van Lilly Stickers restart zone. Green flag back in the air. Coffey off to the races. He got the best start of the lot. Moore maybe to the outside of Harper. It's a Dig eSports party at the front back to turn 1.
Fetterplace fighting hard on the inside of Moore right now. Oh, Harper just massively tight again right there. We're going to be 3 wide down the back straightaway. Fetterplace on the inside looking to pick up that second position. Coffey once again loving this. He drives away from the battle in behind him. Fetterplace should clear Tim Harper here out of turn number 4. I think that 34 is on 4 tires here, Dawson. We'll see what he can do with the 54.
Better place, trying to get back to the better place again for the third time in 3 weeks. It would be back-to-back points-paying wins. It would be 3 straight Wednesday night wins for Better Place if he can get to victory lane tonight. He drives forward to second. Brandon Bowie behind him is third. All of a sudden off turn 2. Harper just knocked the wall down off turn 2 from fourth as Moore tries to run him down for fifth. Another car that took 4 is Garcia. He works 3 wide further back on Real and a couple of others. He's all the way to 7th here with 9 laps to go.
He just wrecked, and he's already back up to 7th right now. He's got a good shot at working his way back up into the top 5 here as Harper continues to fade in front of him, and a couple other cars in front of him haven't had quite the pace he's had so far tonight. Right now working off the back there, that is Greg Carr in front of him. Harper, Moore, Bowie, Fetterplace, Coffee still leading the race. Bowie's gotten to the back bumper of his teammate Fetterplace as they both reel in the leader off the front of this 8. You can see that up there. He's gotten under the 25 though as he continues to charge forward.
Man, it is so impressive how well he can turn the bottom of the racetrack here at Nashville. This is a tough place to get the bottom to work right down in the paint like that, and Garcia's able to do it like they're standing still. Oh, trouble! Harper gets turned right in front of Garcia. That's going to draw a late race caution as Carr got into Harper and chaos again in turn 1.
Harper once again does a good job hanging on the back thing, no damage, and keeps it relatively straight. I'm actually a little surprised that one triggered the caution. Barney was a little bit too happy with the flag right there compared to what it is sometimes, but that will set us up with a little like 4 or 5 lap shootout to the end. We'll take a look at what happened here on the Top It Off Hot Sauce Company replay. See the 25 just kind of got into the left rear to 23 there, sent him sideways in the middle of the racetrack, and you know, it definitely would have been a caution in real life, but I am surprised to see that one thrown given iRacing's typical standards.
Similar to some incidents we've seen throughout the night, is the braking point just not known for the driver running in behind, and it's Carr into Harper. That causes that one right there. You're on board with Nico Garcia, who, by the way, is up to the 5th position as a result of this caution. And watch as Carr turns underneath Harper and gets into the left rear, turns the 23 around. You're right, he got about halfway around. I'm a little surprised the caution came out, but obviously in real life that definitely would have been a caution flag. So that will set us up for quite possibly the most chaotic restart of the night. 7 laps to go. Coffee is your leader. Brandon Fetterplace is second. Brandon Bowie is third. Then it's Corey Moore in fourth. And Nico Garcia, who was just crashed a moment ago, is fifth on the speedway right now for this late restart. And oh, by the way, he's on fresh tires. Bowie is on fresher tires. You'd mentioned Brandon Fetterplace might have been on 4 versus the 2 that Alex Coffey is on. Greg Carr is in 6th. Sean Rogers is 7th. Blaine Wilson, what a good run it would be for him if he could lock down an 8th place finisher even better. Kyle Holden is back up tonight. He was just crashed. And Nick King is 10th. So a number of shuffles here towards the front of the field. A number of cars on pit road getting some damage fixed here, or taking perhaps their last set of Goodyears. But on this restart, Jeremy, look at all the storylines here. Coffey's on 2. We think that Fetterplace might be on 4. Bowie's on fresher tires than both of them. Corey Moore is on 2. Then it's Garcia on 4 that's fresher than both. And oh, by the way, he roared from 14th to 5th right there on that restart. A number of storylines coming up here with inside of 5 to go.
I mean, Garcia's got the freshest tires on the racetrack over than anybody who might have just pit on that stop, and he already put it all the way up to 5th, so we'll see what he's able to do on this launch. If he gets through the gears good, maybe gets 3 wide into turn 1 and gets 2 for 1, he could have a chance to win this race, even with the short stint that'll be the finish here, as we will go green with 4 to go. In all likelihood, should take 1 to green this time by and double them up. So we'll see what will take place on the 4-lap shootout. We'll see if we get through those 4 laps without any issues as well. Obviously, still the opportunity to set up some green-white checkered finishes here.
Potential for overtime. The way this race is going, we may very well need it. We'll see what Alex Coffey does here. He'll choose what appears to be the outside lane as the leader for this restart. Before we go back green, let's head back to track level one more time. Our pit reporter Cody Banta with a hit on the Aero team.
Yeah, just able to sit down and talk with the guys over in Aero 1VC. All top 5 drivers gave the code name Letter E. So it seems like everyone else is getting ready to run. And just speaking about Better Place there, it looks like he just took rights only on that pit stop. Back to you guys.
So Better Place does appear to be on 2, although it did appear right there that he did have a little bit more pace than Alex Coffey. He was starting to run down the 54, so we'll see what he can do on this restart, but it is code letter 8 for the Aero cars here. Second, third, and fifth. They'll line up, in fact, on the bottom side. Fetter Place, Bowie, and Garcia. All three in direct communication with one another here on this start. 4 laps to go at Nashville. If a caution comes out at this point, we will head into Moonshiners overtime. Only one attempt at that overtime here tonight if we do need it. So at least one more trip to the Van Lille Stickers restart zone, perhaps 2. Alex Coffey looking to lock down what has become a very chaotic victory for him. It looked like it was going to be calm. It has become anything but. Just over 5 miles to go. Green flag. Moore gives his teammate a shot there in the restart zone. He's off and running, but Fetter Place timed it up pretty well on the inside. Back to 1. Garcia will look 3 wide around the rail. Will it work for him? No, it will not. He's going backwards in 1 and 2.
Garcia way too over-aggressive right there. I understand the idea, but just not the racetrack to try to make that type of maneuver work for him. That'll shuffle him further back in the field. Bowie and Fetter Place side by side for second. Bowie gets pretty tight right there. He's going to wash his teammate off the track with the arrow. This is what Coffey wants to see as he gets away. If Bowie gets clear of Fetter Place quickly here, though, he should have a shot with those better tires to go chase down that 54.
3 laps to go. Bowie rides the rail this time. Up to the outside goes the 51. Moore tries to attack on the bottom. Bowie trying to get alongside. Caution. Overtime coming up at Nashville as a crash towards the tail end of the field has collected a couple of them. Up the racetrack was Kyle Holden. And that will send us into a green-white checkered finish with just a few laps to go in this one. We'll head back to the Top Nom Hot Sauce Company replay. And this is not what Alex Coffey wanted to see. This, again, is back around the 97 of Kyle Holden. He was alongside Nick King and tried to get through the middle of Rogers there, and some weird-looking incidents there between Wilson, Holden, and Nick King into turn 1. That was an odd one.
And I'm not really sure what occurred right here. We'll take another look at that. I mean, this is Moore and Bowie up front. Back there, you see, looks like maybe a little bit 2 incidents occurring at once, kind of meeting in the middle right there as Wilson went around to the wall. He saw Nick King involved as well. We get a shot on board here with the 12 of Nick King. See Rogers there on the inside of Wilson. Holden gets in there. Yeah, Holden got in there and kind of stuffed it in the King and Rogers, as Rogers was also getting in the Wilson. Kind of simultaneously set off right there.
Typical late race incident. Everybody going for a spot of real estate. It just doesn't work out right there on board with Mark Sanchez as he got into this. He makes the avoidance happen right there in turn 1. So a big moment there for Sanchez as he picks up a few spots in turn number 1. Well, that will get us reset for Moonshiners overtime. Again, only 1 attempt. So at this point in the race, we will rack them back up 2 wide. We'll go back under the green flag. If the race gets to the white flag, they'll race it out under the green flag. If not, if the caution comes out on the opening lap of this restart, it will trigger the checkered flag. The white will be out. When they come back around, it will be official under the caution. And the only race that I know of that I remember having a caution flag end, it was Daytona back in the February slot when Victor Pfluger went to victory lane after the caution flag came out on that opening lap. So keep that in mind. Only 1 attempt, and that could be what Alex Coffey really wants to see, because he's gotten a good restart every single time they come to the restart box. But a caution comes out there and forces overtime about a half a lap before he took the white flag.
Yeah, definitely, you know, what he wants to see from the perspective of how good he's been launching, but not what he wanted to see from where he was. I think he was in a good spot to win that if it went green, but right now he'll just have to go through and execute once again. That's what the name of the game will be here for Alex Coffey. Execute, execute, execute. Don't make a mistake. Don't beat yourself. You got Bowie on 4 tires there in third. Fetter Place is on even tires with you in second, so you just want to make sure you pin that 51 in there and don't let him have a chance to race you.
We will re-rack and restack. 13th caution of the night. All 13 have been for incident, by the way. Both stages ending under an incident-based caution on 45 and 90. So Coffey will be the leader. He will notably take the outside again here on the final restart of the night. He will restart with a teammate behind him in Corey Moore. So notable there, a pair of Dig eSports Camrys together on the outside, a pair of Aero entries together on the bottom. So Fetter Place and Bowie, Coffey, and Moore, they are all in direct communication. So this is as close as we can get to a restart with the hand out the window. If you're the driver starting second row, both Moore and Bowie, what is the thought process here as a driver? Obviously, you're going to have that guy in your ear, but how do you get right on their bumper? How do you master this restart and give your teammate a chance to win?
Yeah, I think right now, if you're probably a little more focused on helping your teammate than Bowie is. I think Bowie is more selfish here, right? He's got the better tires and better place and has a chance to win the race himself. And I think that's the disadvantage to the inside line here, whereas Moore probably doesn't quite feel as confident in his ability to win this race and might be more content to just help his teammate in the 54 along on this restart.
Coffee, the leader on the outside lane, trying to get back to victory lane once again. Fetter Place trying to make it 3 wins in a row and 2 points races that he has gone to Victory Design's victory lane. Bowie, Moore, and the rest of the field trying to steal it from both of them. One attempt at Moonshiners overtime. Into the Van Lilly Stickers restart zone. Green flag back in the air. Neither car gets to their teammate to give him a push, and Fetter Place may just hang on the left rear quarter of Alex Coffey. He'll get the push from his teammate to 1.
Almost some contact there between the 34 and the 54. Coffey cut that a little bit too tight. Oh, there's contact off the corner. We're side by side for the race lead, headed down to turn 3. Oh, Coffey turned Jim.
Alex Coffey turns Brandon Fetter Place halfway down the backstretch, and it's calamity now. Who was out front when the caution flag came out? It appears that Corey Moore will steal the victory from both of those cars at Nashville as he takes the white flag in front.
What an incredible finish for Corey Moore. He just stole that one as they wrecked for the lead in front of him. I don't think anybody saw that one coming, Dawson. I'll let you walk us through this replay.
Well, there was contact on entry. We knew that Fetter Place would probably lean on Alex Coffey just a little bit into the corner, rather, to work him up the racetrack. That was Fetter Place's only shot. And Brandon Bowie does a great job. Admittedly, you talked about the selfish instinct to try to win the race. Bowie helps his teammate there, gives him a shot down into turn 1. It's a slight bit of contact off turn 2, and Coffey works back up and turns right halfway down the backstretch, trying to perhaps get a side draft. We'd seen that all night, really, between Coffey, Bowie, or even Garcia, where those guys had kind of turned up to try to just make some contact and side draft. I'm not positive that Alex Coffey wanted that result, but under the caution, how about it for Corey Moore? You just talked about a moment ago the confidence, the car to win the race. It doesn't matter. Sometimes better to be lucky than to have the best car. And Corey Moore, as he comes across the line, captures the victory in the ICON Apparel Co 266 at Nashville.
Yeah, just a great job all night long. He kept himself in the mix. I don't think he was ever the car we were talking about as being in position to go win this race, but that doesn't matter sometimes. It's racing. Stuff happens that is out of anyone's control, and you got to put yourself in the right spots to come and win the race when that occurs, and it worked out for him as Coffey got into the 34 Fetter Place down the back straightaway, sent them both around, resulting in a win for Corey Moore.
And this is one for Corey Moore that I think a lot of people had been waiting on, including Corey himself. And again, a driver that went to the round of 8 last year in the playoffs, had great runs in the postseason leading into 2026, and you wondered what was next for Corey Moore this year. And it was not the start to the season I think that he wanted or expected to have. And then a podium at Talladega back at late April really jump-started what has been a good middle part of the season for Corey Moore. And what better way to really kickstart the momentum than with a victory? And he will get to do the burnouts here on the front stretch. He'll burn it down, and he wins the guitar as well here in Nashville. As Corey Moore completes his victory celebration, we will step aside for just a moment. When we come back, it's post-race coverage from Nashville Superspeedway. A lot to unpack from the ICON Apparel Co 266. We'll be right back to cover results, talk to the top 3, and try to work through what we just saw at the end of a chaotic one tonight in Music City. A wild finish to a chaotic night in the Music City, and we have now reached post-race coverage as we'll take a look at the finishing results here unofficially from Nashville Superspeedway in the ICON Apparel Co 266, the GMD Janitorial Cup Series. Corey Moore captures an unexpected victory tonight in Nashville ahead of Brandon Bowie, who recovers nicely after a spin with 15 to go. Nico Garcia, same thing, crashed and comes back to finish third. Big run for Greg Carr and for Johnny Shade, fourth and fifth. Both drivers needed that bad. They finished top five tonight. Sean Rogers, a quiet sixth place for him comparatively, but he'll take it. Blaine Wilson needed it too in seventh. Paul Gallimore eighth. Kyle Holden recovers to finish ninth. The gamble almost works for Mark Sanchez. I think you could count that as he finishes in 10th.
Just missed out on top 10 tonight. Matt Cox on double zero. Didn't quite have the pace he was looking for tonight. Jose Medina got back to 12th through all of that. Didn't really see him too much there, so good recovery for him. Barry Sanders had that lead on a late race restart. Wasn't able quite to take advantage of it. Fell back to 13th tonight. William Owens came home in 14th in the 30. Kenny Real 15th, ran top 10 most of the night. Haas Shield recovered to a nice 16th. Harper fell to 17th late. Nick King, Wayne Bowen, and Matt Mackin rounded out our top 20.
Let me get into the cars that had some misfortune towards the middle portions of this race. Chris Vinson goes 21st tonight with Chris Davis in 22nd. And then it's the two cars that finished 23rd and 24th. A pair of drivers who led off turn two on the overtime restart do not end there. They finish deep in the 20s. Duke Fetter Place and Coffee. Alex Murray finishes 25th. Chris Cornett back in 26th with Caden Norfray, Trevor Osborne, Aaron Matthews, and Jeff Chandler rounding out the top 30. A few more cars in the field tonight. Ryan Catalano in 31st. Matt Metler in 32nd. Of course, we saw the incident very early for Nigel Christensen, who finishes 33rd in tonight's race. We'll now start to talk to our top three from tonight's event. After a wild finish, I'm sure these guys all have a lot to say about their individual nights, about how this one came to pass at the end of the night. We'll start first, the man on the third step of the podium. A heck of a recovery, a good effort. We talked to him earlier. He crashes with 10 laps to go, comes back to finish in the third spot as Nico Garcia finishes in third. He stands by with our pit reporter downstairs, Cody Bant.
Hey Nico, I'm over here on pit road with Mr. Garcia. I'm just wondering, talking about the whole night and damage and the ability to fight back, what do you tell yourself?
Yeah, man. I mean, all you can really do is just be happy with a three, right? With a third place finish. We were fast tonight, man. We had it. I think we had the set to win the race tonight. Even personally, I think I had a little bit more speed than Bowie and Fetter Place tonight. I just I had a little bit of difficulty tonight with some bad luck, but I mean, that happens. That kind of things will happen. But yeah, I'm extremely happy with a third place finish tonight. I didn't think I'd be there, and if we would have stayed green at the end there, definitely would have had a shot to win. I was the first car on the freshest four set of tires, so the car was loose. It had a lot of turn in it, and all I needed was a shot. But there's always next week.
I know you try to get to the 54 there numerous times, and it just seemed like you didn't have the ability. But talk about those last two laps. Like, what's going on through your head?
Honestly, it's just really trying to keep the car in a good spot and stay out of dirty air later in the run. The track builds rubber throughout the race, and the car gets really, really tight. So you're really just trying to keep the left front headlight out underneath the car in front of you. But those last two laps they're intense. They're very really on the edge, and you're really pushing the car as hard as you can push, and the hardest you've pushed the car all night. Trying to get it to do things that that you wouldn't have done earlier in the race. So yeah, man, it was a crazy finish. I hate it for Brandon Fetter Place. I think he made a phenomenal move on Coffee to make I think that was a race-winning move, to be honest. You couldn't pass anybody better than that. I don't think so. Unfortunately for BP, he ended up in the back with being wrecked out. But overall, this number 8 Chevrolet was fantastic tonight. I'll take a third place all day long.
Well, just the final question. I know that we spoke a little bit pre-race about just getting up there and running. How do you carry that momentum up in Michigan next week?
I mean, really, I think momentum is the key word for next week at Michigan. It's real long, very draft heavy, and again, the car builds very tight. So you got to keep that thing as you have to get as much rotation in that thing as you can. throughout the entire race, because you got to be able to get the car to turn into the corner or get it out of the corner and hold some momentum. So the key word for next week is Big Mo. Let's keep the momentum moving for sure.
And do you have any thank yous and shout outs you want to give?
Of course, man. Yeah, absolutely. Big shout out to Arrow and Barry Sanders. Thank those guys for allowing me to run this number 8 Chevrolet every week. This thing is wicked fast, man. We've had a lot of bad luck the past few weeks with getting wrecked, and we've had the pace to, I think, win some of those races. So thanks to Barry for letting me pilot this. Elwood Design Esports, those guys also, big help to those guys. Big thanks to those guys for helping me get better in this race car and be able to perform every single week. And honestly, you guys up in the booth, man, you guys put on a phenomenal show every week. I go back and watch them, and I don't think there's anybody in the business that is as good as you guys up in the booth. So, I appreciate you guys, broadcasting and allowing us to do this every week. And we'll see you guys next week.
Well,
what's that?
Tell us about your cat.
My cat. Oh God, it's around here somewhere. His name is actually Kitty. So when we got him, we didn't know what to really name him, and he responds to Kitty. So that's the name of the cat. For sure, guys. For sure.
Nico Garcia, our third place finisher tonight. That's a little bit of fun there at the end as he finishes in the third position here in this one. Moving now to the man on the second step of the podium tonight. You want to talk about recovery. This man keeps finding a way to do just that. It's the points leader, Brandon Bowie. He goes from nearly 20th and spun out in turn 1 to a second place finish, and he stands by with my co-host, Jeremy Miller.
Well, Bowie, as we just heard, a little bit of an incident there, setting up some late race chaos. I heard you apologetic for that over the radio, of course, but just walk us through what happened there in that incident, saving fuel at the 2-tire call, how you thought that call was going to work for you, and just those late race restarts.
Yeah, I knew I had to do something a little bit different than what Coffee and some of those other guys were doing. So I was like, okay, well, from what I could see, it was telling me that I was only at 9 gallons or something like that, 9.5 or something, and I needed just a little bit more. And I was like, well, if I take a little bit more, it's going to give me 2 cans, and 2 cans is another second or 2. So I was like, I'm just going to try and take as little as possible, maybe try to save a little bit. And I think for the most part, I was doing pretty decent, but kind of got held up by a couple lap cars yet again for a second week in a row. And, they're just doing what they need to do to try and not go a lap down. But, I couldn't really save enough. And then Coffee got to me, and I was like, okay, well, I'll let him go, and I'll just try to just max save. And just for that split second, I just lost concentration, didn't realize that Nico was there, turned down, and he screamed over the radio like, I'm here. And it's like, oh, it's already too late. So I still feel bad for that whole thing. I think maybe if I don't cause that, Coffee probably gets the win. I know he's kind of been taken out of a lot of opportunities to win. So it's a part of me that kind of feels bad about that. But, just I'm lucky to be able to finish second. I'll take it. Not how I want to take it, but it is what it is.
Yeah, and obviously, me and you have a lot of experience racing, Trevor. I think Michigan's one of your stronger racetracks. I just want to real quickly ask, going next week to Michigan, how you feel about your chances and, working with your teammates. And I think you've been elevating the performance of as well, just helping them out.
Well, yeah. I've been trying, man. It's a lot of work to try and test and try to figure out setups and strategies and that type of stuff. So, it's a tough thing to do, especially if you're competing against dig and precision setups. But Michigan's pretty good for me. We'll have to see how we kind of compare against some of the dig drivers. I know we're, pretty good this week, but really not the best. So we'll see. As I was just telling Corey that I was sitting in the room with him, I'm only able to really take the car as far as I can. So if the car is a winning setup, then great. But if it's not, then you just have to kind of accept what it gives you. So that's my mindset, moving forward. I mean, I appreciate the wins I got, but I'm not willing to wreck myself for a win either.
Yeah, and obviously, just a lot of people help go into all of this. I know you're with Premiere and everything, but who else gets it done for you on the 51 machine?
Yeah, again, like you say, got to thank Premier Setups. Great setups, man. Great group of people, like family. So I got to thank them for all the time they put into it. Check out the Kyle and Samantha Bundle of Joy Fund. Check them out. If you guys can give anything to that foundation, please do. Helps them out a lot. Same thing with the Mamba Mamacita Foundation. Check them out. Give if you can as well there. I gotta thank you guys for the broadcast. Thank my team. Didn't have the best finish for everybody, but I think we definitely showed some how fast we were this week. So I gotta thank them, Barry, the league, the competitors, my family, and that's about it.
Good work on another great finish, Boo, and I think we'll probably see you one step further on the podium pretty soon.
All right, thanks, man.
All right, that was Brandon Bowie. Oh, sorry about that, Dawson. I think Corey Moore is with you in victory lane.
Yeah, second tonight for Bowie, a heck of a recovery for the points leader, but only one man sits in Victory Designs victory lane, and tonight it's the Dig Esports entry of Corey Moore. Corey, the last 2 laps about as wild as they can get. Take us through what you saw off your front bumper there as they crash on the final lap of overtime.
Oh, man, I was just hoping they weren't going to come back up the track. No, but I went back and watched it a little bit. That's hard racing. I think, Coffee got a little loose coming off of 2 and saved it. And it kind of looked to me like they kind of met in the middle. Coffee was coming back up the side draft, and Brandon pulled off the wall a little bit, and they kind of met in the middle. But I was just hoping they didn't come back up the track. But right place, right time, I guess. We'll take him how we can get him.
Well, I talked about throughout the night, it felt like Talladega was really what jump-started this middle run of the season for you, but a win can do so much. We saw the postseason run last year. You finally feel like you're getting back into form here in 2026. How does a win, though, really jumpstart you for the push to the postseason?
You know what? It's my first one, so I guess we'll see how it goes. No, I had a rough stretch. We had a good start to the season, first few races, and then I just was kind of inconsistent. Had a bunch of bad luck there the next little stretch of races, 5 or 6 races, and finally starting to get the consistency back that I kind of shoot for with my finishes. A win obviously gives you a ton of confidence. It lets you know that you can actually go out there and win a race. Feel like I've had a couple right there that I've let slip away. Daytona earlier this year comes to mind. Even Phoenix earlier this year. But the Roval last year in the playoffs, another one that kind of slipped away. I was really good there. But hopefully this is a good jump start to the season and it gets us on a good roll here of good finishes, and we can keep climbing in the points and try to get ourselves positioned well for the chase.
Well, typically they say when you get your first win, you'll start to rattle them off. They're easier to get once you got the monkey off your back, and you do just that tonight. How do you make it 2 straight next week, though, in Michigan? Headed to the Irish Hills, a bit of a different racetrack here tonight that we saw in Nashville. How do you get it done next week when we get to Brooklyn, Michigan?
Yeah, I haven't got a chance to run too many officials. I was going to kind of hammer at them the back half of this week, but from what I understand, we've got a pretty good set. I've never been awesome at Michigan. For some reason, like momentum-based tracks like Michigan, I haven't quite got the secret sauce to it yet, but I know we're fast. I know the setup's fast, and we'll be able to compete. So I just got to go out there and get to work on it and feel it out.
Victory Designs Victory Lane for you tonight in Nashville. Before we let you go, who would you like to thank or shout out?
First of all, I would like to thank the teammates over at Dig. Love everybody over there. It's a big family, and we work hard throughout the week and the days leading up to these races, and it shows, I think, in the way the team kind of performs on Wednesday nights. Precision Speed Solutions, Alex Murray always gives us a great set throughout the week, and then for the league races, PayRVA as well, friends and family that are watching at home. Thank you guys. Best broadcast, I think, on iRacing for any leagues out there. Hit up Precision Entertainment. Best broadcast you can get. It makes it super memorable to go back and watch. and it's a ton of fun. And then I think thanks Barry as well for putting on the league and everybody who drives in it.
And thank you for your time, Corey. Real quick, got a question from downstairs. The 3 states you have yet to visit, what are they?
Oh, Alaska, Maine, and what's the other? Hawaii.
Makes sense. Corey, thanks for the time. Congrats on the win tonight in Nashville. We'll see you next week in Michigan.
Thank you.
Corey Moore in Victory Designs, Victory Lane tonight in the Music City as he gets the job done at Nashville Superspeedway. Next on tap for us here on Wednesday nights, we'll head to Brooklyn, Michigan and the Irish Hills, the Michigan International Speedway. Join us next week. Some changes to the car this week have made this race suddenly very intriguing in terms of how this race will pan out. Michigan, not the track that we knew it to be last year when we made a stop in the Irish Hills in this series. So we'll see how that pans out when we head to Michigan next week. But as we start to wrap things up here from Nashville, Jeremy, a first career winner in Corey Moore and some chaos on the final restart in overtime. It looked for sure like Alex Coffey would go to victory lane tonight, but in the end, it's his teammate, Corey Moore, that gets a memorable one tonight just off Broadway in Nashville.
Yeah, I'm just really happy for Corey. Obviously, we're both members of Precision Family here on the broadcast, try to stay as impartial as we can, but Corey's a really, really good guy, and it's just really cool to see him go and finally get one. And I mean, hopefully it'll be the first of many. He works really hard, and he contributes a lot to that team, so it's just really nice to see a guy like that get rewarded, and we'll head to Michigan and see what that brings for us.
He talked about a couple that had slipped away. The Roval was the one that I thought of as well. So interesting that he brought that up. He dominated that race a year ago in the postseason. But tonight, he finally gets one to go his way. It is a first career win for Corey Moore in the Music City, and a memorable one at that. We'll see if it jumpstarts his 2026. That's going to just about do it for us for the virtual Nashville Superspeedway. We want to thank you so much for your attendance and participation in tonight's coverage. For all of our broadcast team, for my co-host Jeremy Miller, for our producer downstairs Ryan Bauer, our pit reporter Cody Banta, as well as DJ Lyon doing our social media work tonight as well. Thank all of those folks for their hard work on this broadcast to make it look and sound as good as it does. My name is Dawson Wise. You all have been watching coverage of the Moonshiners Racing League and its GMD Janitorial Cup Series from Nashville. Corey Moore wins the ICON Apparel Co 266 and takes the momentum on to the Irish Hills. Good night from Nashville. We will see you next week in Michigan. Hope you'll join us.
Grip in the neon light, trading pain in the heart of the fight, shifting gears till the edge feels right. Start 'em up, hear the engines cry. Let the thunder roll, leave no doubt. All or nothing when the checkers come out. Doors beating doors in an all-out fight. This is a Moonshiners Wednesday night. Wednesday night. Legends born in the heat of the fight, trading pain under stadium lights. Racing roots run deep here. We're racing on a Moonshiners Wednesday night. Every track has a story to tell. Every wall has been one driver's hell. Back in the saddle we go. Ring the bell like a moonshiner. We're riding on rails. Checkers on records. Send it in, set sail. Legends born in the heat of the fight. Trading pain under stadium lights. Racing This is a Moonshiners Wednesday night.